Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where, as always, we cover all the major indoor football leagues, whether that's the AF1, the IFL, the NAL, the TAL, and the AAL. Before we get into it, I just want to thank everybody for being here this morning. I know there's a lot of comments rolling in already. Haven't even started the show, so we really appreciate everybody joining us this morning. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, share this out to your friends in your life. And stuff like that, so we can get the ball rolling this morning. But without further ado, you guys know how we like to start off the morning. All right, so before we get into the episode, Cody, how you doing this morning, man?
I am extremely tired, but there's a championship game tomorrow that I'm going to that I'll be really happy about.
Yeah, I may or may not be at that game as well, and I was not intentionally, originally planning on being there, but that's a story for another day. TJ, how you doing this morning?
Man, I'm tired and I'm sad.
Still in mourning over last weekend?
And last night, I mean, it's just my teams are in shambles, man. Man, I hope the Barrels win this weekend. I need something, man.
TJ, are you going to the championship tomorrow? Oh, I'm just kidding.
Dang, dude.
Hey, listen, you can say whatever you want, but I am proud of how that team played this season.
Hey, man, mad respect to Omaha and the turnaround that they had, though. I will say that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, they could have easily packed it in and been like, season's over. We'll be back next year. And they chose not to do that. So gotta give them their flowers for that. Krish, how you doing this morning, man?
Yeah, doing well. Obviously we have a big game this week against Jacksonville. Love competing against them, and we can get back on track, get to 7-5. So looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of news. Well, I don't want to say a lot of news. There's quite a few things that we're going to talk about today. Whether it's the NAL championship, the news out of New Mexico that they have a new head coach the rest of the way, or the AF1 news that Oregon has decided to forfeit the rest of their games. So before we get into any of those topics, however, we are going to start off with the TAL games. And there was one last night between Monroe and Memphis. And I believe, judging by Brian Mathern's profile picture, I think Memphis might have won that game. So did anybody other than myself catch the majority of that game last night?
They won decidingly. I mean, Memphis defense was on fire last night, man. They were holding them out in the red zone, forcing turnovers, pick sixes. Man, it was crazy.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Memphis has seemingly been a pretty solid team out of the gate here. And I mean, they're what, 3-1 now, I believe, with their first loss coming in week 1, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty good run for them so far. Any thoughts or takeaways away from that game, TJ?
Who says there isn't defense in arena football? That's what I'd say. They were just all over the field. They were, like I said, man, deflecting pat. The secondary was just on fire, playing physical. Red zone, I think they held them on I believe 3, fourth down attempts inside the 10-yard line. I mean, it was just Memphis really turned it on. Monroe, they were able to move the ball and stuff. But again, once they got down to scoring territory, man, Memphis just locked down, held them out. I turned the game off with a few minutes to go, and at that point, it was like 56-20. And I was just like, man, Memphis is something to mess with, man. Drop the hound from their name. The secondary played like dogs last night, straight up.
I love it. Krish, what were your thoughts and takeaways from the game?
Yeah, I know a lot of you are fans of Coach Sheaver, right? And I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's, a good coach, but he's still young in this game. I don't think he really understands the arena style of play yet, and he's learning the hard way, unfortunately. And so he needs to make some personnel changes on the defense. It's embarrassing for Monroe. They have a Division I quarterback in Timmy McClain. They have Fabian Guerrero, who they fly in for games, and they pay a ton of money to. And they still can't score more than 20 points. So Memphis has a lot. They play as a team, and they've established an identity early on. And so if you can establish an identity this early, good things will come for any team in any league. So they got Division I talent mixed in with semi-pro guys, and it works out for them. So they're not like other teams like Eau Claire, who, they get their plays off Madden and they try to put together stuff every other week. They know what they are, and they stand by it. I mean, they got Keywan Malone, they got Brandon Gray from Mississippi State. That quarterback that they got, like, he's nice. He has a great arm. He's a semi-pro guy. KT Taylor, he's someone that he 100% could play in a high league. So I think they got pieces, and they'll continue to get better. For sure.
Cody, did you catch the game at all last night?
I didn't, but going on to YouTube right now and trying to skim through some of the highlights and some of the game right now, it definitely looks like Memphis definitely had their way with Monroe. And this is something that I think we all have talked about at some point. There's 2 expansion franchises. In the very first game, Memphis, we were saying, hey, this team kind of lacking, but seems like after that, they've really gotten on their horse. And Monroe, we were kind of, they're the Cinderella team. They've gotten their S together and all of that. Now it looks like we've got some question marks that we need to talk about when it comes to the team from Louisiana.
Agreed. We were very high on what they were able to accomplish in terms of the coaching staff and then what the roster they built so far. And as of right now, it is not panning out on the field quite like I believe they had hoped. So it'll be interesting to see how that team progresses and if they get any better down the stretch as these guys kind of learn the new rule set that they're dealing with in the TAL. I thought it was very interesting that, obviously we had one game last night, but then literally every other game for week 4 all kicks off at 7:05 p.m. Central Time tonight. What do you guys think about kicking off all 3 games at once? I mean, obviously the chances of everybody watching all 3 games in one night is pretty low. That's 9-12 hours of football, depending on how things go. That's a lot to watch any one night. But at the same time, I kind of wonder if they wouldn't be better served by staggering those game times a little bit more. But this has been something that they seem to do in all of their games. It seems like every single game on their schedule is kicking off at about 7 o'clock Central Time. So I wanted to go around the room real quick and just kind of get your guys' thoughts on that facet of how they do scheduling. So, Cody, I know, in the IFL world, that's kind of been one of your complaints that sometimes the games are overlapping and you're trying to watch 7-8 games at once. How do you feel about the TAL kind of following that same vein?
I don't have an issue with it as long as those games are all on YouTube and you can watch them all on demand. And, previous cases when the Indoor Football League was on YouTube, you could get multiple tabs, rearrange the size of your, browser window or whatever, and you can quad box it yourself on a computer. Or if you had an HDMI cable, you could plug that into a TV, and then you got a big old quad box on your big screen TV. I don't necessarily have an issue with it. They're all within the central time zone. So Saturday at 7 is kind of that prime real estate for any arena, for any sporting event, anything like that. So no, like I said, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. But yeah, if you want more eyeballs, it's kind of like what the Indoor Football League has done, where you want one on a Friday, want one on a Saturday, want a couple on Sunday. If they can do that, that's great. But then are you sacrificing attendance? Are you sacrificing, that's kind of the biggest one, but are you sacrificing eyeballs on the screens? People have things to do on Sundays. People have things to do on Friday nights or Saturdays. So, it all kind of hinges on what do you want your target audience to be.
Agreed. And that's a good point for sure. Krish, do you have any thoughts on their scheduling?
Yeah, I agree with Cody, but with the IFL, it took them a long time to find media partners that were committed to, carrying the game separately, right? That's why they have Yahoo and Overnight. The TAL is still a fairly new league, so it's going to take them a while if they even ever get to that point, So right now they're just doing the TAL. To me, they care more about selling tickets than the TV product right now. because they're not at that point to worry about that. But it's annoying. I mean, obviously you want to watch the game separately, but for them, I don't think it matters too much.
Fair point. Fair point. TJ, what are your thoughts on the scheduling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Cody on this one. If it was on, if they had a deal with Yahoo Sports or, something like that, where you couldn't just literally rewind and rewatch the game instantly as soon as it ends, pretty much, it'd be a little bit bigger of a deal. In real time, yeah, sometimes, like tonight, if one of the games starts to turn into a blowout, yeah, I'll switch it. But it'd be nice if they could maybe even just stagger an hour apart, even just one of the games. That way, if, the games that are currently playing are all one sided or going sideways real quick, then you can jump to a brand new game that's just starting instead of having to kind of get into another game that's already going. You don't know the flow of it or how things are going, for players or anything like that. But I mean, I get it. They've been doing this pretty much, I think, since inception, minus week one. And then last night, having a Friday night game, all four games have always been on Saturday at the exact same time. So it's definitely the system they're following. But again, since it's on YouTube, I don't think it's as big of a deal.
Fair points. Fair points. I mean, if you can turn around and watch the games after the fact, then I think you're not really losing much overall as a league. I mean, the guys who are going to go out and watch every single game, they're going to have the ability to do that. So you're still going to get the viewership you want, whether it's up front in live or in the on-demand side of things. Either way, it all pans out. So definitely a great points there from everybody. So just kind of a curiosity sake thing. I am very much like you guys. I kind of like the overlap of the games. If you're watching one game, it's not as competitive. You can jump over, or, if there's a extended commercial break or, halftime hits and they're slightly staggered, it all, there's kind of benefits to it. But at the same time, the biggest benefit, in my opinion, is, when the TAL games are going to kick off. It's the same time every week. So literally, you don't have to guess. There's no, thought process behind it. Hey, it's 7:05 Saturday on, so TAL's on, or, it's 7:05 Friday, so TAL's probably on. So I do like that aspect where there's not a ton of variation. But with that being said, let's do a quick picks on these upcoming games. Let's see if I can get the schedule pulled up. Because there are a couple great games tonight, which should be some interesting matchups for the TAL. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a computer lag
last
here.
night's game. Oh, there it is. All right.
All right,
I looked at the graphic we shared.
What's that?
I looked at the graphic we shared yesterday.
Gotcha. All right, so we got Ozarks at Arkansas, Nebraska at St. Joe's, which, in my opinion, that might be the game of the week. And then we also have Iowa at Eau Claire. So let's go to TJ first. Who do you have in these games, buddy?
For the Lunkers and Diamonds, man, I think I have to go with the away team and go Lunkers. Just because Arkansas, they've just been a little inconsistent this season early on. Nebraska and St. Joe's. Listen, Nebraska, first-year franchise, you would not know it. They are playing heavy right now. Defense is always flying over the field, putting points up like crazy on offense. Man, we had their GM on, before the season started. He said that they were going to hit the ground running and they were going to instantly be one of the playoff teams because that's just how he is. And man, oh man, so far they're looking like that. So I'm going to go Nebraska in that one. Iowa at Eau Claire. This game, in my opinion, could be low key competing with the Nebraska St. Joe's game for game of the week, just because whichever one of these teams loses, they're probably. So I'm going with Eau Claire because they're at home, but again, it should be a highly contested game because whoever doesn't get it is really looking up at the playoff race and really far behind.
Fair point. Fair point. Day one, Memphis Hound Dog fan Brian Mathern checking in. Really appreciate you being here this morning, Brian. I would love to hear more about this bet that you had with Fred Elliott that resulted in you having to change your profile picture. For anybody watching, Brian's a huge Louisiana indoor football fan and supports literally every team that's down there. So kind of a inside joke for anybody who's not aware of Brian.
That's not what his profile picture says. It says he's a Memphis fan.
That is accurate. Hopefully, I think it stays up for
He also has a very awesome in-depth article about Louisiana teams in the magazine as well.
That's right. We're going to talk a little bit more about the magazine in just a moment here. Cody, who do you have this week?
Whomst do I have? Ozarks at Arkansas. I don't know, man. It's hard when you don't follow a league nearly as closely as some others, but getting some highlights and everything that I've been able to get throughout the week, give me Ozarks, kind of going along with what TJ said. I don't know. Arkansas can win this game. They are at home, so maybe they should be favorites. Not trying to get into a betting aspect or anything, but this one could really go either way. Screw it. Give me Arkansas. Why not? Why not? Nebraska at St. Joe. This is a huge litmus test for Nebraska. Can St. Joe at home keep things rolling? St. Joe's kind of been, I wouldn't say the team to beat in the TAL, but they've been pretty consistent throughout their franchise history. Nebraska has a chance to really put their stamp on the league and say, hey, we're here. We're ready to compete. I like St. Joe, but again, it's kind of the same thing. Nebraska, they can take this game. They don't have to be a perfect game, but if St. Joe makes some mistakes, Nebraska capitalizes on it. I do think that the Siege can take the victory. And then finally, Iowa at Eau Claire. Oh man, I mean, this could be really good. This could be really bad. I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna take Eau Claire again. Maybe give me all three home teams when it comes to this one, but I'm not sure. Iowa leaves a little bit to be desired. I'm just gonna go with Eau Claire and err on the side of caution.
Sounds good. Krish, who do you have this week?
Yeah, I love how you can go the whole off season if you're Ozarks, coming off of where you pay Tyler Coca $1,700 a game to come and try to play for you and not even win a playoff game. And you're Cam Buffett, and you're sitting in your office and you're like, you know what? Let's find our next quarterback. And out of everyone, you signed Tree Jones or whatever his name is, bro. He's terrible. He was terrible in Louisiana. He was terrible.
Terry Jones.
Yeah, same. He can't even throw. So, I mean, he was bad in Louisiana. He made his name off a one-hit wonder in the FCS. You know what I mean? Like, it's laziness, bro. You don't go out and find talent. You don't want to go out and find young talent. And so you don't want to develop. You want someone who come in and run the offense themselves. So Arkansas should win by 20, 25. Ozarks is terrible. And they need to make a change at quarterback. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he is, but he turns over the ball way too much, and he doesn't even fit the style of play. If you really watch the tape like that, but they don't watch tape in Ozarks. They just kind of play whoever they're friends with, and they play semi-pro football with. So give me Arkansas by 20. Warning. Nebraska and St. Joe. I think St. Joe is going to win. I think it's a big home game for them. I think they'll play it like the championship game for St. Joe. Give me St. Joe to win. Iowa and Eau Claire. I mean, I don't want to say Eau Claire is a dumpster fire because they're not, but Iowa definitely is a dumpster fire. So give me Eau Claire to win this game by 10. It's it's a home game. They played close at home last time. Richie Murphy will finally get a YouTube win, and it'll be a good game for Eau Claire. So we can hear how good the high school, offensive coordinator is that they have, that the head coach hired, because I'm just saying.
I have no idea what you're referring to, but we'll leave that one alone. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Yeah, so I don't know how to follow it up. Krish had some strong things to say as per usual, but most of the things were pretty accurate. Obviously Ozarks has had some struggles this season so far, and on top of that, Terry Jones hasn't been playing great so far. I don't necessarily know. I would call him a one-hit wonder or call it laziness in recruiting him, but that's my opinion. Not Krish's, clearly. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll move on. We'll talk a little about the AAL games coming up this weekend, as well as the games that just passed. There isn't a ton of news that has come out of the league since the 2 expansion announcements, so we won't be spending a ton of time on any of the news aspects of the league. But other than that, we will be right back with the American Arena League.
Step up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets that reset drop, hits up the pressure, passes complete to Flowers, back to pass, Russell coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Russell, pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the, looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10, and Russell has it on the outside, like I said, he ain't taking a slide, Russell steps up, let's go, Robinson makes the circus catch, going to be a low snap, here comes the pressure, and the pass is going to be complete, and making the catch of Grant Russell. Russell, back to pass, looking, he has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play by Isaiah Hall.
The mountains you climb, maybe stairs. The records you set, maybe personal. The fans you inspire, maybe family. No lights, no camera, just action. You don't have to be a pro. You just need HoneyStinger.
All right, let's talk about some American Arena League action. After this past weekend, there was 2 games, obviously. With that being said, we can go ahead and get into that. Just a moment. I should have pulled up the games while we were on the commercial break, but I did not do so. All right, we had Jersey versus Mississippi, and we had Wheeling and Columbus. So let's get into the Jersey and Mississippi game first. This game started off a little slow. Jersey and Mississippi, I think, had a combined 22 points on the clock in the first quarter, if I remember correctly. But the game wound up 70-18 in the Bearcats' favor. So, TJ, if you were Mississippi, how do you go about trying to fix this heading into 2027? Obviously, so far this season, they have not looked very competitive versus teams like Wheeling, Columbus, and now Jersey as well. So, I mean, how would you, if you had control of the team, go about trying to turn the ship around and get it righted for 2027?
This is the not so fun part about being a coach, because when you have a season like this, you spend a lot of time watching film and just tracking players and see where your weakest spots are and just try to improve. And you just go through and, they coming off the championship in the AL2, making the move to the AL, you knew they were going to have, they were going to have some missteps and things like that. But I don't think a lot of people thought that they'd have a fall off like they have essentially this season. So you have to go back. You have to reevaluate this offseason, your entire roster. You have to figure out, maybe get in a coordinator or a different coordinator to help and assist. It's I don't want to say team overhaul, but you definitely have a lot of building and remolding to do this offseason if you want to come back and be in a much more competitive point next season.
Agreed. Krish, same question to you, my friend. I'm sure you've got strong thoughts about this one.
Yeah, TJ kind of hit it right on the nail, right? I mean, moving to the American Arena League, right? We knew they would have issues. It's disappointing, because you shouldn't be losing by 52, 50 points consistently. You should be a little competitive, but I just don't think their offensive line is horrible. Their defensive line is terrible. Like, their whole team is bad, so they need to make changes. And how are you going to get guys to want to come and play in Mississippi? No offense, but I mean, I think there's guys who much rather play other places than play in that farmland or wherever they play at. So I'm just being honest. And no, Coach Strong is an amazing coach. So amazing coach in terms of his resume. Obviously played at Ole Miss, everything. So if they could get in a nicer arena, I think they would be able to get more talent. So.
That could definitely be a factor.
And for the Bearcats, I feel like, they really haven't beat anyone except Mississippi and the semi-pro teams they played. So, it's good for them, but it's been a disappointing season for them too. So.
Fair point.
And I think there was only one person on the show that said there would be a little bit of a talent gap in the American Arena League, but I just leave it at that.
There's only one person on the show?
That I remember, that I recall, but I could be mistaken.
Right. Okay. Cody, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, let's be honest with ourselves a little bit, though. I'm not trying to defend them, but at the same time, every league has teams that are kind of a punching bag or that they fold mid-season. Oregon, Dallas, New Mexico, Iowa. Teams that are just getting beat up on week after week. It's not to say that they're bad franchises or anything like that, but again, the talent gap is clearly there. The resources are not there. The lack of coaching, the players, whatever it could be, there's clearly, obviously, something missing. How do they fix it? Your guess is as good as mine. This is not, I guess they have the draft. I was going to say no arena league draft, but hey, they have a draft. What that does, though, does it help things? Does it fix things? I'm not necessarily certain because we've only had one in the entire existence. So can it turn the tides? Possibly. I don't know the draft rules. I don't know how they're going to do it, if it's like the NFL or if they do a lottery. I have no idea. But regardless, if there is anything that can help, that could be part of it. It could be throw in more money. It's always throw in more money at things. But yeah, for a quick fix, there's not really anything you can do. But you can say that for a lot of teams that are on the under 500 or worse in any league right now. Money could always fix it. Where do you find it? Where do you find the talent? Where do you find the players? Where do you find the scouting and the coaching and everything? It starts at the top of the ownership and it works its way down. So if it's going to go from there, and I'm not saying it's bad ownership. What I'm saying is it's trickling down. So wherever you find that leak, you got to plug it and then work your way down from there.
That's a fair point. I can honestly say there are fewer players in Mississippi than I may have initially anticipated. I honestly thought there would be no shortage of talent down there in Mississippi for the Wolfpack to pick up. However, I was mistaken. I actually looked into my own list over the past couple of days to see if I couldn't, maybe throw Coach Strong a couple bones, and I found one single player from Mississippi that I was able to send him, and I don't think it even worked out for him. So,
because they all followed Lane Kiffin to LSU.
What's that?
This is because they all followed Lane Kiffin to LSU.
Maybe. Who knows? But anyway, moving on to the other game that was a lot more competitive. Although, depending on who you ask, Wheeling runs the league. But that's a conversation for a different day. I believe it was 32-31 Columbus over Wheeling. So let's go to Krish first on this one. Krish, obviously you've been a proponent of the fact that Columbus has more talent than every other team in the league. However, Wheeling keeps keeping right there on their heels. Do you think Wheeling has the firepower to beat them in a game?
So skill position wise, I feel like Wheeling can go toe to toe with Columbus, right? We've seen that both games they played. offensive line, defensive line wise, I feel like that's where they're lacking. The O-line, Wheeling has a lot of experience on the O-line. The problem is Columbus's D-line is just so good, and Columbus's O-line compared to Wheeling's D-line, there's a little bit of a gap there, right? And so that's what's really keeping the games kind of in Columbus's favor. But both games have been close, and so there's data out there that shows when you play a team a third time, it normally goes the other way. So if I'm Wheeling, I'm really trying to capitalize on that. It's almost a blessing for them. They play Columbus 2 times, so when they play them in the championship, they'll have 2 games of film on them, and they can self-scout and make changes like that. And I think it's a good thing for Wheeling.
Interesting points.
I look at Daryl Clark for Wheeling. He's played outstanding. I mean, he can start in the AF1 today if he wanted to. Obviously there's a reason why he started at Penn State for 3 years and played in the CFL and got NFL opportunities. I mean, he has a natural talent for sure, no matter his age. So
that's weird. I thought there was one person that was very critical of that move when he got signed, but I don't know. I forget. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so TJ, what are your thoughts on the Columbus Wheeling game?
Hey man, when they get together, it's apparently just going to be down to literally the final seconds. I love it. It's great for the league. Columbus able to pull it out again, but the Wheeling, they're sticking right with them. If they meet, most likely when they meet in the championship, it's going to be a great one. May even mimic the AL2 championship from last year, where it again went down to literally the final play. Which again would be great publicity for the league, show how the top teams are super competitive. But other than that, yeah, it's probably going to be those 2 teams in the championship. Jersey has an outside chance, but yeah, I hope when they do meet again, it's just as good as this game, because man, it was literally on the edge of my seat till the very end. It was a fun game to watch.
Agreed. And kudos to our guy Shane, who was in person for that game and took a ton of videos and pictures as always. I think he's made every one but one home game so far for Wheeling, and I believe he will be there again this weekend. So on that note, Cody, do you have any thoughts on Columbus and Wheeling?
Come with the king, you best not miss. I mean, Columbus has been ripe for the taking, and every time they've been able to squeak away with wins. To TJ's point, if this is how it's going to go and they meet in the championship, you can say the same thing for any other league, but in this one too. I mean, it takes one game. That's all it is to win a championship. It takes one game. If Wheeling makes it, do not count Wheeling out from winning a championship. Now, Columbus is going to be the big bad Goliath, and David's going to be Wheeling. Doesn't mean that who won that battle. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But again. Come at the king, you best not miss. And Columbus has been able to escape. They've been able to win games. They've been able to be as good as they've been, albeit there are some questions. But to Krish's point, you can see that they've got a little bit more talent on both sides of the ball than really anyone else in the league.
Fair point. As of right now, I mean, I don't think anybody's arguing except for Luke Miller. Sorry, I don't think anybody else is arguing that Columbus Lions are the favorite in the league. Sorry, Luke. I know I'm probably sounding salty. Just kidding. Well, Luke's a big Wheeling Miners fan, and he keeps saying that they run the league. Which, hey, more power to him for rooting for his team. But on that note, it's going to be very interesting down the stretch, because right now Columbus looks extremely tough to beat. It doesn't matter who the other team is on the field. Wheeling's the only team that's come close, but they still have logged 2 losses. So let's not assume that they can just run in and due to some statistics win that game. So there's definitely going to be some interesting games ahead. Roger Beck checking in says Columbus can play with anyone in any league, and as of right now, I don't think there's very many people that would argue that currently.
Hey, did you say that Luke said Wheeling runs their league?
Yeah.
They can't even run their arena. Boom! All right, we're done.
From the top.
I'm gonna have to get a button for Cody now. I'm sorry, Chris. That was a joke. Just so everybody is in the AAL is aware.
Yeah, that's
are
a complete
kidding.
joke. That is me joking around. There's nothing. There's no malice or anything behind it. It's just all the arena issues that were happening in the last couple of weeks. It's all in jest.
Absolutely. And for the record, Luke is a friend of the show. We like to go back and forth. That's the only reason we're making any jokes. But that pretty much sums it up for the AAL section. I mean, I don't really think there's a ton more news-wise. Just kind of a quiet week currently. Hasn't been a ton of changes or anything like that as of right now. Like we said before, I know there's a lot of stuff kind of being worked on behind the scenes. But one thing that I personally really like about the AAL is they're not going to put anything out publicly until they know for sure it's set in stone. So that is one thing that I really like to see so far from the league. And it's one thing that Kevin O'Hanlon, the commissioner, has stressed to me at multiple opportunities that he does not want to make for broken promises down the road. So while it's been a little quiet, I assure you there's still some things in the works. There's still a lot to come. It's a very, very long off season ahead of us, and they've already announced expansion teams, and we still haven't even played the playoff games yet. So lots more to come. But on that note, hit a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk about let's get in the NAL championship preview, and then we'll move on to the AF1, and we'll finish up with the IFL on that note. So we'll be right back after a word from our magazine. Just kidding. Forgot to do picks for this week. So we got a couple games to pick this week. And then we'll go ahead and hit that commercial break. I apologize, guys. I cannot believe I forgot about doing the picks this week. On that note, I do not currently have the schedule in front of me. Roger, can you inform us on who you play?
Columbus and Jersey.
Quiet is good. Sometimes being quiet is actually being the loudest. I agree. You said Columbus versus Jersey, and
yes,
Wheeling plays Mississippi.
And then it'll be yep.
That's right. So Mississippi travels to Wheeling, and they're playing in Columbus, right?
Yes.
Or is it Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay. So my apologies. I should have had that information correct when we got to this point. So with that being said, Jersey versus Columbus in Columbus. Mississippi versus Wheeling in Wheeling. So let's go to Krish first on these ones.
Yeah, interesting game for Todd Simmons. Kind of not get that, but obviously Todd Simmons is now with Columbus. So I still don't know how that whole thing went down, but obviously last time they played, Mateo Rodriguez, he got assaulted by the D-line. I expect nothing less, and I expect it to be worse this time in Columbus. So he might not want to play. He might want to tap out before halftime because it's going to get bad. So give me Columbus by I say 25 to 30. They might take it a little lighter this game because, the playoffs are coming up and they just want to make sure, they don't have any injuries. But those guys at Columbus, they're so well conditioned, they could play a football game twice a week. They need to, or 3 times a week. That's just how they're built. So for Mississippi, Wheeling, I think Wheeling is going to win big time by 40. I don't think Mississippi has anything to play for. They're just a bunch of 37U guys going to work. So at this point. And I told the world Mississippi wouldn't be good before the season, but we're going to shock the world, all this stuff. No, you're not. No, you're not.
No comment. I'll save my comments till the IFL section. TJ, what are your thoughts on all of this, the games this week?
It's like we've been saying, Columbus and Wheeling, they're kind of the top 2 teams. I will be interested, though, to see, since this is, I believe, the regular season finale, and we all know they're kind of doing old, AFL style, kind of everyone gets in because it's a 4-team league this year. I will be intrigued to see if maybe they try some different things, or maybe don't open up the playbook as much because they know that they'll probably be playing each other right again next week or 2 weeks in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how they take, wanting to win a season finale, regular season, there we go, finale, as opposed to maybe preparing and setting up for some surprises in the playoffs. One thing I do want to highlight, though, is the Columbus Lions game tonight is a pink out for Cancer Awareness Night. They're going to have special jerseys and everything. It's a really important cause. So I just wanted to highlight that because that's really awesome that they're doing that.
Thank you for shouting that out. If there's one thing you have not realized about this show yet, we are very pro cancer awareness, support anything we can do to help, develop cures for cancer, anything we can possibly do on that front. We're all about it. So shout out to Columbus Lions for doing, Pink Out Night, like he said, obviously raising awareness about breast cancer. So with that, we will go ahead and take that break that we discussed earlier. As far as my picks, I've got Columbus over Jersey right now. I mean, unfortunately, I would love to sit here and say Jersey can go down there and beat Columbus. I just don't see that happening currently. Columbus is on a roll, and they look pretty unstoppable right now. And until proven otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on that bandwagon as it runs roughshod through the league the rest of the season. So on that note, I probably am going to pick Wheeling in the other game. Krish got into a little bit more inflammatory detail than I probably will, but yeah, Mississippi, they need some help. And I think from what I've heard, there's going to be quite a bit of help coming before 2027. But unfortunately, that's not this season. So when we say that, hopefully Mississippi can find some momentum down here, show that they're a little bit more competitive than we're giving them credit for, because as Krish said, Coach Strong is a great coach. He's got a pretty solid staff around him down there on the coaching side. So I think that once they can find the right players and the right formula, they should be a lot more competitive in 2027, but that's next season. So, we will see exactly how this all unfolds this weekend, see if we get any shockers. But as of right now, I think the games are more or less fairly easy to predict this week. So we will now take that commercial break and talk about the magazine. And when we get back, we got a couple things to say about the magazine as well.
Hi, everyone. This is TJ from Shady Sports Network. I am excited and proud to be the first one to announce that we as a network are introducing a digital magazine, official one called Shady Sports Magazine. As many of you know, the bread and butter of our network is covering arena and indoor football, and that's exactly what this magazine is going to be about. It is going to be the first ever arena and indoor football central magazine, all the leagues included. You're going to also have a bunch of articles in there about past teams, going down memory lane. It's just going to be a one-stop shop for the already diehard fan. It's going to be an easy spot to get all of your info, no matter which league or however many of the leagues you may watch. And for the new fan or the casual fan, it may help you turn into a diehard fan now, because you're going to be able to get all the info super quick and easy, sent directly into your email. We will announce in the upcoming weeks when the inaugural issue is going to be released. And believe me, we will definitely keep you updated on our shows and network as a whole on how to sign up for that list to get it. Email for free every month. Thank you to the fans, and thank you for everyone watching. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and most important, enjoy the show and keep watching. Thank you, and see you guys later.
All right. So if you didn't check out the first edition of the magazine, it has been out for a while now. We had some amazing people work on it, did a great job. But sounds like it's just going to get better as things go on. So with that being said, we're very excited to say that 1060 Designs, run by Adrian Figueroa, will be assisting us in the future developing some cover art for the future editions of the magazine. So if you're not familiar with Adrian, he's done a lot of things in the indoor space. Most recently, he was, I think, the director of marketing for the IFL Cup. Adrian can probably, clarify if I had that title incorrect. But he was previously with the Orlando Pirates. He spent some time with the Pirates when they were in Massachusetts as well. In my opinion, one of the better graphic designers and social media managers out there right now. So with that being said, we're very excited to have him do the cover. I think if you're a fan of magazines, much like everybody who took part in this, you probably remember the days where you looked back at the old magazines and there was, a great picture of, whoever it may be on the cover of Sports Illustrated back then, whether it was Michael Jordan or Tom Brady or whoever it may be. So now we're going to get a little bit of that aspect in this magazine, which I think is going to be awesome. So I also wanted to shout out Jimmy Ellison. Let me grab his page up real quick so I don't say his media name incorrectly. It is KTIZO Media. So KTIZO Media on Instagram has given us permission to use a photo from last weekend's game that he took, which is awesome, for the next month of the cover. So very excited about that whole scenario playing out over literally the last 24 hours. So thank you to Adrian and Jimmy. Very excited about this, and hopefully, all of you guys watching today can go give those guys a little bit of love, because obviously this is a project that we're all very passionate about here, but to have other people come in and be willing to help however they may be able to do so has been awesome. So on that note, like I said, things are only getting bigger and better. So keep an eye out for that, because I'm extremely excited about that. But TJ, I don't want to take all your thunder, my friend. What are your thoughts on all of that? And just take the floor, my friend.
I mean, hey, man, we're going to have cover athletes from now on. That's the dream of any sports magazine, right? Man, it's just awesome. Continuing to grow the magazine family, if you will. Adrian, not only is he a great professional, but he's an even greater person, super cool and nice. And I'm glad, actually honored that he reached out and, wanted to help us out with that. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And if you want to see who the cover athlete is, you got to be in the newsletter. So, go on the website, sign up, and get the magazine, and we'll get to see who the first cover athlete is of Shady Sports Magazine.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that.
Are we having fun yet?
Gotta love it. I'm working in some new samples, so you guys might see some new things as we move forward here throughout the next couple episodes and weeks. Trying to give you guys a little bit more to look at as we're here live, because I'm sure you get really sick of looking at all of our faces, 1060 Design, Game Day Ops. I apologize. I knew I had that title wrong. I just couldn't remember exactly what you were in charge of at the time. Man of many hats. So appreciate you, man. Very excited to have you on board, and we're very excited to see how this all comes about. At Columbus, at Wheeling, just clarifying the AAL games. Need something to look at. Tarps off for the boys. I must have missed the magazine announcement. Congratulations on the good work, and keep it up. You guys are getting better and better as SSN grows older, and it's beautiful to see. Yeah, absolutely. And still would love to have you on board, man. So definitely make sure that you hit me up, and we would love to have you continue to create content with us as well. And yes, I have a new toy, and I have others that are coming too. So keep an eye out for that. But it's time to talk about the NAL championship game, which is obviously coming up this Sunday, Father's Day. So if you happen to be a father in Dodge City, Kansas, hopefully you're asking for Southwest Kansas Storm tickets for Father's Day to go check out a football game. And then also, if you happen to be, a mother or a child in Dodge City, get your father some football tickets. What better way to spend Father's Day than take your father to a football game? So, let alone a championship game. With that being said, we've got the Kansas Classic, the Sunflower Showdown, whatever you want to call it. Salina has defeated Pueblo. Southwest Kansas has bested the beef. So now we have Southwest Kansas hosting Salina for the third time this season in Dodge City, Kansas. We're just going to go around the horn, give everybody an opportunity to break down who they think is going to win, how they see this game playing out. And then we can come back next week and see how close we were. So I'm going to give TJ the floor to give his prediction first.
Well, I mean, last week was last week. It was a tough game, but hey, man, Southwest Kansas, they showed why they've been the best team all season. They were able to stop the Cinderella run that Omaha was on. They were efficient on offense, put points up on the board. Defensively, they were able to wreak havoc, pressure on Espinoza, force him into a couple mistakes. The Liberty, obviously that game was much more contested, but at the end of the day, Salina, hey, whether lucky play, whatever, hey, at the end of the day, they put themselves in that position at the end of the game where they could pull it out, and they did. So they're in the championship as well. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a game it really develops into. I think early on it's going to be a little bit lower scoring between nerves and also feeling each other out a little bit. And it's also a game against two defenses that are pretty strong, surprisingly in indoor football, right? But believe it or not, defense does exist. And, these two teams bring it. So it's going to be a good game. I think it'll go down to the fourth quarter. But I do truly think that Southwest Kansas does end up claiming the title and the trophy. And even in a season where my beloved Beef are not in it, at least I can say my team lost to the champion. So
that's always the way I look at it. Inevitably the Eagles were losing in the championship game for years, and that was my solution. Well, at least we made it there. Cody, what are your thoughts on this game?
So, with it being Father's Day weekend, I think it's only fair that we make Salina our daddies. Psych. Southwest Kansas is going to win by 1 billion points. They're going to take this. Liberty is in a couple of weeks with July 4th. No one cares about that. Have your freedom later. Southwest Kansas is going to take this one. A storm's a brewing, baby. We had rain and thunderstorms here in Kansas City last night. That's a good omen if I had any for it. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to go down there. We're going to pick them off. We're going to get some fumbles. We're going to score some touchdowns. We're going to do anything and everything to make them look super stupid and silly. Give me Southwest Kansas. 59 billion to nothing.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully the score is a little bit closer than that. We got some data that I'll talk about.
It's probably going to be like 49 to 41 or something like that. But still, give me Southwest Kansas by 1 billion. Father's Day, bow to your daddy.
Love it. Krish, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I want to see Coach Thomas and Southwest win, but I also have to be realistic for this one too. For me, and this is obviously, a lot of respect for Omaha for what they were able to do, right? Come back from being 0-5, win a playoff game, go to semifinals. They brought no pressure against Southwest Kansas last week. Like, you watch that game, South had clean pockets. For me, what I saw. They stopped the run. I felt like they contained the run as well as they could, but they didn't bring enough pressure. And, that starts with the linebacker and flows through the D-line. Salina has an elite linebacker core, elite D-line. They're really fundamentally sound in those areas on defense. and frankly, because they have better coaching than Omaha does. Obviously, Coach O has been around this for however many years. He's a multi-time champion, Hall of Fame coach. I think Salina is going to win this, and I think Salina is going to come out with Tyree Adams. I mean, he's going to have, running lanes, and he's going to make plays with his legs like he showed last week. And give me Salina 40-37. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a really good game. I can see it going either way, but I'm picking Salina for this one. But it says a lot, though. I'm really really happy that there's 2 new teams in the championship. Like, really happy. I couldn't be happier, to be honest.
Well, new is in how recent, because Salina was in the championship like 4 years ago.
Well, in this league, in the national league.
I mean, yeah.
You're right. Like, I wonder if Ricky's going to be at the game. He's a Dawson City native. But, it's going to be interesting, man. It'll be a good game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be competitive. These 2 teams play each other close. I can't remember the last time if there's ever been a blowout between the 2 of them. There's a graphic running around with the history and how close everything has been. So this should be a very, very hotly contested game. Is it?
Exactly. And I think one thing, the NAL and their media department had done a really shitty job all season, about highlighting how competitive the league really has been. This has been the most competitive season of NAL football I can remember in a long time across the board. There's been so many good games. Like, even last week, Salina came back from 17 points down. Pueblo came back from 17 points down, and Salina won in the final play. Like, talk about a storyline, So it's interesting.
Well, you got to remember, too, they're like the very last week of the season, Salina was in that number 2 spot to get a bye. Things don't break their way. They end up being the 4 seed, and they have to go on the road to beat Pueblo to get to the championship game. Southwest Kansas loses the final week of the season. Trey Self gets hurt and gets his ankle rolled and everything like that. He's still able to come through and play in the playoffs. And, I mean, it's crazy how everything has kind of gone. It's like I mentioned in our group chat, I've never truly been an NAL fan until this year. And after watching Southwest Kansas games, after watching, a couple Pueblo, Colorado games, a couple Omaha games on scripts and stuff like that, like, it's turned me into a huge fan of the league, man. I mean, even if the promotion's not there, just tuning in and watching it has been something really impressive.
And, one thing, last thing I'll highlight is good coaches don't care when they get in the playoffs. If they're 1 seed or 4 seed, you know what I mean? Because they're able to navigate through, adversity. If you've been coaching for a long time and you're really a Hall of Fame coach like Coach O, that's why I know Coach O, he never was scared when they got the 4 seed. He knew they would be here, and they're ready for this moment.
I'm going to push back on that slightly, because I think if Coach O had the choice, he would have much rather had that extra bye week, to prepare for that game or whatever. But, you are right. At the end of the day, a good coach is going to think no matter how he makes the playoffs, he still has a chance to make that championship. So, I mean, as far as that goes, I guarantee Coach Doe didn't come into the the playoffs as, oh, darn, I'm a 4 seed. We might as well just lose this week and go home, right? Obviously.
I'll use this as an example. That Salina Colorado game at the end of the season, right? Colorado down major at halftime. They're down by like 22 points. They come back and win. Their defense made a lot of critical stops in that game. They play the next week in the playoffs. Their defense is nowhere to be found, because Salina wore their defense out so much in that regular season matchup. Even though Salina lost, they physically broke them down for when they played in the playoffs the next week. You know what I mean? So it shows.
I think something got twisted here.
Well, and what realm does it say? Were they that far behind? Like in the actual game, or are they talking like in the season?
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that comment.
Because if it's talking in the game, I think Salina was up because we were down in Dodge, and I think at some point someone told us the score was like 27-14. Salina was up, and then Pueblo was able to make a comeback. So I can't remember if they got up 3 scores or not, but at some point, yeah, Salina was up. Pueblo was able to come back, and then Salina was able to finish off the job.
Yeah, I think you're correct. And last time if I remember correctly, Pueblo was holding the lead with like seconds left on the clock, and Salina scored, and basically it wasn't quite a walk-off touchdown, but I believe it more or less was a walk-off touchdown.
Yeah.
Game,
Did the Hail Mary actually happen if the cameraman didn't pan to it?
Yes. Yes. It's much like the bear pooping in the woods comment, you know? I mean, it still happened. There's still a touchdown. There's still poop in the
That touchdown was amazing. I mean, Pueblo dropped 7 in the coverage, and Tay didn't send any pressure, which I already know Tay's having nightmares about that today. But, Ed Smith, he found his way, the back corner of the end zone, wide open. There was a miscommunication in the secondary. And it was an amazing throw by Tyree Adams. There's a reason why he's in the CFL. So, and he's really shown that to me.
I find that interesting because just the other day you were criticizing Trey Self over his turnover numbers, and you might be surprised to hear that he has a higher touchdown to interception ratio than Mr. Tyree Adams, who you just lauded. I'm just a little confused about how that works for you, Krish. And I don't know. But Kerry Starks checking in. I really like that, he's here today. Congratulations, Mr. Starks, on making the championship game. Very excited to see this game. I think it's going to be a great game. A little bit of statistics that I wanted to throw out there today. In the last 8 matchups, which, by the way, have taken place in the last 3 seasons combined for Salina and Southwest Kansas, they are combined 4-4 with a +0 point differential in those 8 games. So if you wanted a competitive championship game, you want a close game, you want a game that's going to come down to the wire, that's going to feature 2 great coaches and 2 teams that are pretty fundamentally sound, this is the game for you. Not only that, but it's a regional rivalry. Salina's got a party bus. They're trying to get as many fans as they can to travel down to Dodge City. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Cody, it's a little over a 2-hour trip from Salina to Dodge City. So I think there's probably going to be – sorry, what was that?
I was going to say give or take, yeah.
So there's probably going to be a good amount of Salina fans in house. I shouted this out last week on my personal profiles. Omaha traveled pretty well to Southwest Kansas. There was a whole beef section, and I expect that to be even more intense this week for Salina, given the fact that they're so close there. So very excited to see this game. I think this is honestly one of the best case scenarios for the NAL as a league, because I think ultimately it's going to be well attended. The fans are going to be, rowdy in the best way possible. They're going to be shouting at each other and making it a big competition. So very excited to see this game. Very, very surprised to see comments like this, though. Not this game. Southwest Kansas 2-touchdown victory at least. And the data just does not back that up. As much as I would love to say that, they're going to come in and blow them out. I mean, I literally have a number 4 jersey sitting right next to me right now, so I would love to see them win. But I think if you got Coach O and Coach Thomas on here, which a better producer probably would have done that ahead of time. I apologize, everybody. They would probably both say to each other, hey, this is going to be a close game. I fully anticipate that, if I make a mistake coaching or if he makes a mistake coaching, that's going to be the difference in the game.
Exactly. And like you said, I mean, as much as you want to see them win, I mean, that championship win bonus will go crazy anyway. But, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a competitive game back and forth. And, yeah.
What win bonus?
Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to find that out yourself. So
I'm very confused. I keep hearing about this win bonus. Does like the NAL pay out a win bonus? Is there something
I'll take the win bonus if no one wants it?
There's some. I guarantee you, both teams will receive some type of compensation or something for winning.
Yeah, the rings.
In your estimation, are you talking from like ownership, or is there something from the league that I'm not aware of? That's
no, ownership. Both owners are.
Okay.
They're not. Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe, but Again, huge for the NAL. This is what the fans wanted and doesn't get much better than this with the previous history between them. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game for sure, like I said. Good, sir. I attended this line at Bossier City game to see you, only for you to be rushed to the hospital for that. Talking about Kerry Starks. Kerry, I believe, is originally from Louisiana. Don't quote me on that. So I think Brian's
He's
got
a
some
Louisiana Monroe grad, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Thank you. There you go.
Hey, if he signed with Monroe after the season, think about how good that defense would be with him.
Makes sense to me. I'm just saying, wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple other players that from around the NAL over the next couple weeks that end up in the TAL one way or another.
Didn't Beaumont get rings and people were flaming them for how generic they looked?
No, that was Albany.
Huh?
That was Albany.
Albany? Oh, okay. I thought Beaumont got rings and people were flaming them for it.
I think Cody's right. I thought Cody was right on that. I could have sworn there was a picture that came out of Beaumont's
something
ring.
on Facebook about it. They got some rings and people were flaming them for it. They're like, "This is what you got for your championship."
Yeah.
Yeah, because isn't Omaha's is like one of those detachables, wasn't it? With like the arena inside or something like that?
Because they're like, oh, they spent all their money going to AF1 that they couldn't spend the money on the rings or something like that. Like that was the joke going around.
I definitely remember hearing something about that at one point. I vaguely remember seeing the picture.
Yeah, right.
I thought,
are we Mandela affecting this one?
Maybe.
I swear to God, if all three of us are thinking the same thing, I think it was just like plain like gold and red rings, man.
Yeah, it almost looked like a high school championship ring.
Exactly, like Jostin's. Yeah, Albany was detachable because you could pull it up and there was the arena inside. I remember that one.
So did they maybe they showed a picture of what the rings were supposed to look like or something?
Then that might be it. Because they showed the picture of the rings and people were flaming them. That's what I remember.
100% remember that as well. But I also 100% remember the movie Shazam too. So I don't know. I'm told that didn't exist. So
hey man, the Berenstein Bears and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing too. But weird world. World.
Really quick. Can I just speak on this?
Yeah.
Well, you touched on it really quick. This is the perfect setup for a championship game in the sense of you are able to have that regional rivalry, death to the neutral site championship. If you are the better team, you get to host. That is your reward. If you lose in the playoffs, you don't get to host. So, excuse me. That being said, I don't mind a neutral site, but something like this where you have locality, where you have a bus trip, where you have everything like that, show up to this game. Dodge City, Garden City, Salina, Wichita, anyone in Kansas. I'm driving all the way down there from Kansas City. Show up, pack the house, be ruckus. Let's get after it. This should be one hell of a game.
Agreed. And you might even have a chance to meet me or Cody, which I don't know. Maybe that'll give you a reason not to come to the game. I don't know. But Cody and I will both be in attendance this Sunday.
Yeah, Coach Thomas is going to need to give you both of his zids that he takes at halftime to settle y'all down because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane.
I will say this. Last week, the amount of purple monsters that were in trash cans was outrageous. The amount of energy drinks that coaching staff goes through, man.
I may or may not.
Oh, no, those were all just Sam's.
Well, there were a couple watermelon Red Bulls, and that can be expected anywhere. I'm anywhere, but they definitely all drink energy drinks on Southwest Kansas's staff. Like you're not wrong. I remember pregame, Coach Thomas and Coach Sheck both had an energy drink they were walking around with, and I actually have not had a chance to meet the offensive line coach, so I'll have to make a point of that this week. Did get a chance to meet Ricky Burtz last week. Was very excited about that. Ricky has been one of our supporters since day one, or it's going far enough back that it feels like I've known him forever. So it was really awesome to finally get to meet him in person. Obviously we didn't spend a ton of time talking.
Did you meet him before the loss or after?
Both.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I talked to him real briefly before the game. He was talking to somebody else, so I kind of just walked up, shook his hand, and then walked off so he could finish his conversation. But then after the game, when he was getting ready to leave, he was walking out through the arena and by the locker rooms, and stopped by and said hi again and shook my hand and said, you know, he would see us next time or whatever, and then kept walking. So it was good to finally meet him. Got to see CJ again. So that was cool, of course. And I think I shared this online, but I haven't had a chance to say it on here. My son and I got the experience of a lifetime. We got to run out on the field with the team before the game, and that was something that will stay with me forever. You know, my son's 4 years old. He thought it was the coolest thing in the world. We got to run out with Kyle Myers, the defensive back, and it was just awesome. It was an awesome thing. There was, 30, 40 kids that were lined up waiting to run out with the team. Each player took 2 or 3 kids out the tunnel with them, and it was a really cool aspect of the pregame that I thought, was what arena football is all about, right? This is a family sport. You're supposed to be able to take your kids, your wife, your husband, whatever, and go enjoy the game. And like I said, that's something that's going to stick with me forever at this point, because I got to see him get excited when he ran out on the field, and then, looking up at the players as they were singing the national anthem and stuff. So really cool moment for me and my family. And it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the Southwest Kansas Storm and what they did pregame. It wasn't like I was special or anything like that. There, like I said, there was 30 or 40 kids there. My son wanted to do it, so we got to partake as well. And this was a really, really cool thing they did for the kids there. So Southwest Kansas will be eating Tony's Pizza after winning. Well, they'll have to bust it in because this game's in Dodge City. Sam's cans. Nobody wants to talk about my cans. Trust me.
Oh, we have to talk about the big question that I posted in the sheet about Omaha, what they should do with Loftus.
Oh, we definitely will. We're not moving on quite yet. I'm just running through the comments. McGee, let us know your thoughts in the chat about all of this, guys. We got it. We got a fan bus going. Liberty fans showing up. I assume you're going to be on the bus. That's pretty cool. Tarps off for the boys. Maybe later, my friend. Maybe later, my friend. So, all right, Krish, pose your question to everybody.
Yeah, so, I was thinking about this, right? Because, Ricky put out his long thing on the Beef Facebook. And I read it all, very similar to last year, about, them falling short and how the standard is to win championships. And so should Omaha retain Adam Loftus for next year, or should they, find someone else to come
in? That's a good question. I think that should go to TJ first.
I think the big question is too: do they better keep CJ Kane, because the offense will completely different with him there. But to Loftus's credit, man, he was able to right the ship. Yeah, they brought in a lot of players and everything else after he took over, but I mean, without just the overall leadership and culture that they were able to get for the second half of the season, they don't make that run if it's not existent. So I feel like Loftus has definitely put himself in a very solid position, at the very least, to be considered. Because, I mean, if they won 3, maybe 4 games, limped into the playoffs, just got blown away, but hey, we made the playoffs, it's a totally different story. But the fact that you were able to make that run, get a playoff victory, and make it to the semifinal, I think it has to put him in the top considerations list. You can think of a couple names, or maybe even think of some guys that at the end of this season in some other leagues potentially may be available. But at the end of the day, if you have potentially the guy already in your building, he's already been in the system, he has a history with the team, both as a coach and as a player. Honestly, as a B fan, I would be ecstatic to have them take that interim tag off, because man, he definitely coached his butt off this season. CJ Kane again, offensive coordinator, him coming in with that, they better retain him too. And next year will be more prototypical, in my opinion, if they're able to keep the core intact.
All right, let's pose that question to Cody. Cody, do you think they should retain Loftus?
I mean, what's another year gonna hurt or help or anything like that? I mean, what he was able to do after Coach Negron was let go, and We've talked multiple times about what's going on with the coaching, hires and fires and everything and anything in between when it comes to Omaha. So why not take a shot at Loftus? So clearly the players bought in. Clearly there was some turning point where they started turning losses into wins. I'm not saying that Loftus is fully responsible for that. The team bought in, the players bought in, the coaches bought in, and there's clearly something there that either a switch was flipped or everything just started to gel at the right time. Whether you can make the case, whether it was the schedule started to get, dare I say, easier with Louisiana and Dallas and all of that stuff, whatever the case could be. But why not take a shot at him? I mean, you can bitch and moan about everything and the previous coaches are like, well, if he doesn't work out, you can just fire him. Okay, fine. But if he's been able to turn this team around and turn it into 6 straight games before they're lost to Southwest Kansas, why not try your hand at Loftus? If you keep CJ Kane around, if you keep that defense intact, and obviously it's going to come down to the players and how they adapt to the schemes that they go in there, you got a 6-game trial period. Why not do it for an entire season?
Well, let me pose a thought to you guys before I kick this back over to Krish. If you retain Loftus as the interim head coach, as the head coach without the interim title, does that potentially create a situation where you lose a great quality coordinator down the line if you need to make a move at head coach after giving him that position? So, Krish, with that in mind, I mean, do you think that's a consideration if you're the ownership of the Beef and you're looking at what you do with this head coaching position? I mean, do you want to look past Loftus because you want to retain him on the staff as an assistant coach, or do you give him that opportunity and just tell him, hey, look, man, if things don't necessarily work out, we'll always keep you on staff as the defensive coordinator? How would you approach that situation?
See, he's a really difficult guy to read. He's local, right? So he's from the area. So they obviously save money on housing. I know obviously Ricky's very cost effective. We all know this. So he's going to look at what's best for, business side first and then the football side. I would keep Loftus on staff, but I don't know if I would give him the head coaching role. I would go after someone like Tyler Knight. I think Tyler Knight is someone who won a championship with the Beef and someone who, proven. I think he would be a great fit. I think Tyler Knight would be a good fit because he said also he wants to get back into coaching. Another good fit would probably be they need someone who, like, a vet. I don't think a younger coach will work out in Omaha as a head coach. I think they need a veteran coach that really, upholds their standard, as they say. So, Tyler Knight's my main option, I would say right now.
All right. Interesting.
And it's actually a good point.
Is it? Yeah, it is a good point for sure.
But I honestly don't know. He did such a good job, though. He did win a playoff game against Sioux City. We got to give him that. But also, Ricky made a decision last year to keep Coach Negron and, realized, like, in his mind, he made a bad move. After 5 games or whatever, he made a move, right? So he doesn't want to be in that position again.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. But I also think that in this scenario with Ricky, I think he always has multiple contingency plans in place. I think that's part of it.
It's easy for people, to say, I call this the honeymoon phase, right? We're in June, July, whatever. People are gonna be like, man, I can't wait to run it back with the Beef. The players who, want to run it back, quote unquote. But when we get into free agency, like, those guys are always going to have other options. The top players, like, I would be shocked if a guy like Daquan Dudley comes back to the Beef. I'm saying this right now. I would be truly shocked if Daquan Dudley goes back to Omaha Beef just because of how good he is, or even their defensive player they got. Like Keyshawn Cobb, the young DB out of Nevada they have. Like, they need to retain their younger pieces and build around younger core guys.
I think something that needs to be addressed as well is, to Krish's point, it is the competition level. We have started to see a little bit of parity show up in the NAL and I'm not saying Omaha ran the league, but they went undefeated. They've won titles, things along those lines. for a little bit, it's been kind of your Salina and Omaha or your Sioux City and stuff going all the way back to like the CIF and CIFL and all of that. So now that we're starting to see other teams kind of pop up a little bit, Pueblo, Colorado, Southwest Kansas, you're starting to see some parity in this league, which is going to breed a lot more competition, making it tougher for the mainstays, your Omahas or whatever, to maintain that talent, because they want to go somewhere else and win titles and compete and do things like that. So I'm not saying that Omaha's hoarding talent by any means. What I'm saying is that talent is going to spread itself out amongst the 8 or 9 teams in the league or go to other leagues. Like I said, to Krish's point, it could be tough to retain that talent. And that's where it's going to be tough. If Loftus gets this job, if he does have the interim tag removed, you've got to go and recruit these guys. You've got to go and make this roster. So it's not, like I said, it's not just going to be the coaches. Who do you get in the offseason? And that's going to determine, and obviously the schedule and everything as well, that's going to determine how it's going to go for Omaha in 2027.
I think that's a fair point, fair assessment on all fronts. And I think we've probably done a pretty good job of breaking down most of the angles of what could potentially lead to the decision on Loftus. Sorry about that. One thing that I forgot to mention about the AAL section, we're going to back up for all of 2 seconds real quick. I forgot to mention that they will have Little Scrappy as their halftime show for this weekend's game. So if you've heard the song Money in the Bank.
AA1 in Columbus. Crazy.
Seriously. Like, I'm honestly disappointed in myself that I even forgot about this, because I'm not going to lie, I don't listen to a ton of rap music, but I am a Little Scrappy fan. So when I saw that he was going to be there, I was pretty blown away. They've had some amazing
I'm going to test you live. Name one Little Scrappy song.
I could name multiple. I'll probably name them wrong, but I mean, obviously I just said Money in the Bank. That's my favorite. I've listened to that since I was in high school, bro. No, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't know a ton of other names of the songs, but I have listened to other songs. I do listen to other songs. It's more of a playlist situation, if I'm being honest. So it just runs through a bunch of artists. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. My favorite song is Money in the Bank. Who hasn't liked that song since, 2000, whatever, when it came out? So now, obviously, that kind of gives you a little bit how much I actually listen to Little Scrappy, but I'm still a fan. So with that being said,
But I'm still also one more thing about Omaha. I reached out to Ricky this week for a comment about, how they're just going to go around the head coaching search. If it's going to be a national search or in town or whatever. I haven't heard back from him yet, but when I obviously hear back, we'll talk about it. But I think it's important to note that when you have such a big job opening, it'll take time to find someone. Like I hope he just doesn't rush the process. I hope he really, and I know him. I don't think he will. I think he'll take his time to find the right person.
I would imagine he's already been doing his due diligence behind the scenes.
He already had a guy lined up at halftime, so he already knows who he wants to go with.
Could be. I mean, I don't necessarily know he's that far along in the process, but I'm willing to bet he's got a pretty good list of candidates that are interested and willing to come in for an interview.
And Coach O is on his contract in Salina, so
that's it. That's an interesting caveat there. So definitely glad you threw that in there. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the AF1 and the big news out of them. And then did I actually get you guys' picks? Did everybody give picks with their championship breakdown? I mean, I know Cody picked Southwest Kansas. Yeah, okay. I think everybody did pick. Never mind. So we'll go ahead and do our commercial break. We'll come right back with the AF1, and we will finish up with the IFL, discussing some of the playoff implications from the previous games of last night, and then also the head coaching change in New Mexico. In the AF1, we've got a couple things to talk about, but the biggest piece of news this week was Oregon forfeiting the rest of their games. So we'll get into that. We'll preview the games coming up, the schedule changes, all that fun stuff, and we will be right back.
I don't know what we're yelling about! Loud noises!
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday and Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.
How many times a week? Like three or four times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Coach O is never leaving, says Triple McGee. I happen to know with great certainty that there was a pretty substantial offer on the table for Coach O in the past to leave Salina for a past location he had coached, and he turned said offer down to remain in Salina. Take that for what you will. He definitely had an opportunity to leave and chose to stay. So he has at multiple times talked about how much he appreciates the ownership group there, and he will likely stay unless there's just a deal that he cannot resist taking. So on that note, we're going to move over to the AF1. As mentioned before, the big news out of the league, of course, this week was the fact that Oregon has forfeited the remainder of their games. They made it about halfway through the season, but they ultimately ended up having to call it quits. The financial situation has finally caught up to them. This has been something that we've talked about at length on this show. It was never meant to be in a derogatory manner toward Chuck Jones. I happen to really like Chuck as a person. I've had a relationship with him as far as, we've crossed paths countless times over the years. I used to cover the AWFC very closely. He was a coach, a player in there. So I've known him since probably 2022, 2021, somewhere in that range. And I think very highly of him as a person. That's my personal opinion based on my experiences with him. I have heard many stories as of late based on the Oregon situation that refute that. Like I said, I've formed my opinions based on my own experiences with him. So I'm not going to sit here and debate on whether or not he's a good person, but the merits of what has happened in Oregon are to be debated here. So we've got multiple reports of non-payment, which has probably led to this situation ultimately unfolding where Oregon just needed to call it quits. So there's been players that have not been paid. There's been coaches that have not been paid. And ultimately, I had heard that there was even a situation in which Chuck was asked to step down and he refused and ultimately stayed with the team until they for lack of a better term, he was the captain that went down with the ship. So with that being said, Oregon is no longer in the AF1. They have made it very clear, or Chuck has made it very clear that he has plans for 2027, and it does not include returning to the Arena Football 1. He has since deleted some of his posts that he put out, so I kind of wonder if he didn't cross some lines there. But ultimately, with all of that information on the table, I wanted to get your guys' opinions. So, Cody, what are your thoughts on Oregon ultimately dropping out this late in the season?
It's just another league with another team folding because of the amount of people that were given the NAL trash for having Dallas fold mid-season. Now we have another league with another team doing the exact same thing. There are rumors. I'm not going to dispel them or speculate or anything like that about other teams in the AF1 that could be potentially on the same hot seat for various reasons. But this is not a good look for AF1. We talked about this all the way back in the preseason about how thin these teams were spread. All the way on the West Coast, some up in that, Midwest Rust Belt area, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, wherever, Albany, and then one team in Texas. We talked all the time about how travel was going to be an issue. Teams were playing each other 3 or 4 times a year, and that didn't even include just your typical just game day operations or anything. We're talking just straight travel with that. I think when we looked at the schedule, and if I remember correctly, Oregon finished the season with 4 or 5 straight road games, something along those lines. So any money that they made or did not make from the first half of the season had to go towards that. I call that the Green Bay model from the IFL, because that's kind of what Green Bay does. They load up on their home games when the weather isn't nearly as good in Green Bay, and then they have a bunch of road games at the end of the year because the weather's better, not a lot of fans turn out, stuff like that, and they kind of ride that money for the away games. I don't know if they did that model or if that's just how the scheduling came out. I'm not going to speculate, but what I'm saying is they just didn't have the money for those final games, paying the players, doing everything like that. It's bad. Like if all the rumors, and again, they are rumors, if all the rumors are true, the AF1 could be in some deep doo-doo, and Oregon could just be the tip of the iceberg. So
I want to say something about that point. We deliver the news. We deliver what we hear, right? So we address everything. I just want to make that clear, because we are not saying this because we have a vendetta against the AF1. We addressed the Dallas situation when they folded. We're going to address every team when they fold. That's part of our show. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, we seem to catch a lot of heat from the AF1 sometimes because we talk about the negative things that happen in every league, and they seem to forget that we talk about every league. With that being said,
Chris, and obviously the news, right? Like, like I mentioned this about Oregon having money problems back in November, and I spoke about it, and I remember Chuck Jones stood in my DMs and said I sit on my computer and talk rumors all day. No, homie, you sit in your house and you live in your own reality. So that's just what it is. Obviously he done everything he could. He poured all the money in. He poured his heart and soul into keeping Oregon alive. But like at the end of the day, man, like, you know what? Like, don't come after me or others or any of us, right? When we say stuff. If it's inaccurate, it's inaccurate. If Oregon made it through the whole season, I would apologize. But I'm not apologizing for anything, because I really said, I honestly really, like, I talked to players. I know guys who were up there. I helped guys get up there. So I understand what the situation was. And I knew it wouldn't last. And it's unfortunate to see, because they have a lot of talent. They had a lot of talent this year. But Chuck Jones needs to realize when he comes back with Oregon in 2027, right? He can't do everything. You can't be the GM, the head coach, the owner. It doesn't work like that. You got to pick one or the other. So make that decision, make a move now. And it's just sad. It's really, really disappointing. That team had so much potential. They weren't coached well at all. Not just from him, from his assistant coaches. I mean, his assistant coaches weren't jack shit, to be honest. And just a bunch of his friends that he tried to hire, probably got him on a discount anyway. Warning. I'm just saying, man, like, if you want to pay coaches with food stamps, you're going to get a bad product. Warning. It is what it is, though. They'll play with fine homes. I feel bad, but, just AF1 needs to really look in the mirror and, stop coming after us and coming after the teams and their bank accounts. That's really need to be worried about. So, that's my.
Well, that's the story of my life. No respect. No respect.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we don't talk about these things because we want teams to fold. Okay. Anybody who thinks that obviously hasn't been paying attention to what we do here for the past couple of years. We talk about it because it's the news. It's important. It affects
it's important to talk about. It's important to recognize too, because if you don't recognize, what the facts and reality are, like, you're not doing.
Stopped him in his tracks, Adrian. Nice.
That's accurate too.
This is 100% accurate, though. If you ever enter ownership, man, you better have everything on point.
100%. Nah, man. I'm gonna open up my team in Reno, Nevada, and he won't ever hear about the Vegas Nighthawks again. No, man. I think at the end of the day, like, reality is that every team in different spots financially. Oceanside is where they're at. Minnesota can pay a quarterback $2,800.
There's like a hurricane going on behind Krish, and he's just like, I got to talk about indoor football. It's more important.
Even a storms are brewing up there, Southwest Kansas by $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's his exhaust fan.
But no, man, make sure honestly they need to vet their teams. They need to do a better job, and that's bottom line. There's no excuse. They're not any of, we could have done. We did everything we could. Like, no, you didn't do everything you could. Because he came to you and told you that he was having financial problems, but you decided to ignore that. Right? That's a fact. So
that's the part. Like, I've had a lot of people hit me up and tell me about stuff that's going on there, and that's the part that gets me. Is like,
I want him to come on. I want Chuck Jones to come on, and I'm not just saying that to be a dick, but I really want to hear his side of the story. Because I would invite him on and for him just to say, what really happened. Because we can sit here and talk, and say what we think and what we know, but he's the one behind it. So
true. My only thing is,
honestly though, if you're watching, man, put your nuts on the table, come on the show, and let's have a real talk about it, and we'll break it down.
You were so close,
We'll
and then you had to have that in.
Keep your nuts in your pants, please. Or the bag, whatever. It depends on what kind of nuts you're talking about. But anyway, one thing that I want to say that has bugged me about this whole situation is it seems like all of the blame has gone to Chuck from the outside, right? It seems like all the fans, all the players, everybody involved wants to blame Chuck Jones. But Chris just glossed over it real quick right there. Chuck at one point made it very clear he had financial concerns before the season. He voiced that to the league. I'm pretty sure he went even as far as asking for assistance from the league before the season ever began. Now, if that's the case, it's unconfirmed. So take that for what it is. It's a rumor, much like much of the stuff that's been said. If that's the case and that is accurate, then a lot of the blame falls on the league as well. I'm not saying Chuck is absolved because obviously he still tried to own a team with no money in the bank. But at the same time, if the league is hearing these complaints or these concerns and they're allowing him to continue going forward, that's a mistake by the league. And that doesn't matter if you're the NAL, the AF1, the IFL, TAL, AAL, WIF, does not matter. If a team comes to you and says, we have financial concerns, and you do nothing about it and you let them go through the season and hope for the best, you deserve some of that blame just as much as the team owner. That's all I've got to say on that situation. There was definitely concerns expressed that were never met with any sort of assistance from what I heard. So that part drives me a little up the wall. Or maybe off the wall, depending on who you ask. But anyway, let's get to the schedule changes. So week 11, the Kentucky Barrels will travel to Washington to face the Washington Wolfpack on Saturday this upcoming week at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that's 6 p.m. Pacific time. Pretty solid game timing for Washington there. Week 12, the scheduled matchup between Albany and Kentucky has been canceled, resulting in a bye week for both organizations. Week 13, Albany will travel to Beaumont to face the Renegades on Sunday, July 5th. And then week 14, the Michigan Arsenal will travel to Oceanside to face the Bombers on Friday, July 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. So those are the schedule changes, which luckily not terrible. I mean, there's only 4 games that really get affected, so I mean, it could be a lot worse. A very similar thing happened for the NAL when they had to adjust their schedule. It was very, very minimal impact given that it was so late in the season. So glad to see that. Glad to see that there isn't going to be a ton of changes. It does kind of stink that Albany's getting another bye as well as Kentucky, but at the same time, I'm sure neither team is going to make the complaint against having that bye week to get their guys healthy before the playoffs.
You know what I meant in that context. But I'm.
You gonna break out the oil too?
Oil them up, run a train, nuts on the table. We got all kinds of sayings. Pretty soon, all this stuff's going to be on a shirt. So if you guys want to see those things on a shirt, you let me know.
The Shady Sports. But anyway, so no, but honestly, I'm so happy because Malik, my boy from Michigan, he's from Oceanside. He's from San Diego, so he gets to go back home. Final week of the season and play Oceanside twice. Once at home and then once in San Diego. So I'm excited for him. But man, like, it's crazy. I want to see Albany, Kentucky. Kentucky hasn't had a home game since May 18th. That's what Off the Wall was saying. So, I mean, think about how their fans must feel in Kentucky. They must be disappointed, But I looked at Washington's schedule, man. They might lose all 4. They could go 4-8 if they're not careful.
Kentucky?
No, Washington.
Oh, I was like, what? What's the next team to blow their load? I imagine he means fold. That's a good question. There, it's a race to the finish at this point. So with all of that being said, I mean, obviously there's a lot to unpack there. We've kind of tiptoed around that as much as we possibly can. So let's go ahead and do our picks for the week. Obviously, there's a couple games this week, or 4 games this week, so I will get them pulled up. But it is the Bombers versus the Renegades, the Firebirds versus the Cats, the Barrels versus the Wolfpack, and the Arsenal versus the Monsters. As you can tell, my son was very excited that there's a team called the Cats, so he would like them to win probably. Right, bud?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I would love them to win.
Awesome.
And look at my goal.
Great, dude. Sorry, parenting and doing a show at the same time is sometimes difficult. But with that being said, who you guys have in these games as I get them pulled up? We'll go to Krish first. Bombers versus Beaumont.
Oh, man, that's going to be hard to watch. Bombers have their whole new coaching staff with their, fake fitness influencer, motivational speaker, head coach, whatever he is, down there. And then they got, a new OC who was a player on the team, and then just so much going on the Oceanside. Give me Beaumont. Beaumont's going to win in front of all 20 of their fans. So it'll be nice, I'll be happy for my boy JD. I love watching JD play. Obviously, number 9 on Beaumont, obviously one of the only players in Pius franchise history to have their number retired. So, JD's I'm always a huge fan of him and what he does. So, a good opportunity to support him. But Beaumont is going to win this by 20. Javon Tucker will get a couple. I'm so happy for Javon Tucker, what he's doing on the side, man, leading the league in touchdowns, receiving yards. He's really emerged as the number 1 receiver this year in the A1. So he'll score a couple times at Beaumont. Obviously, this is a good point, too. Solo is back in Beaumont. I didn't mean to mention that earlier. They parted ways with head coach Corey Mayfield. They went in a different direction. I don't know what happened there. I'm kind of trying to still figure out what happened with that situation. I have a couple ideas. But, after he physically assaulted Justin Clem, it's been all the way down since. So, I really hope that Solo. Well, first, a question I'll have for you guys: how is that allowed?
What do you mean?
How is Solo allowed to go back to Beaumont? Like, how is that? You know what I mean? Do coaching contracts go with all the way to October?
I mean, why would it matter? I'm a little confused by that. Like,
Okay,
as a franchise owner, as a team owner, why would you care if your coach, who just finished his season, goes and spends the rest of the season with another team outside of the fact that you want him back?
Like, the offseason starts. Like, I would want my coach evaluating, taking some time off. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, now it's 2 organizations. It's almost a conflict of interest.
Didn't Massachusetts do that with Coach Manas?
Well, Coach Manas got let go of San Antonio. We don't know if Solo's coming back to Pueblo next year.
Fair point.
So, you see what I'm saying? I get what you're saying too, Gabe.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not me trying to, this is literally me not trying to shit on Massachusetts for the first time in my life. I'm literally trying to equate it to hey, Manas got let go and then wound up in Massachusetts. He could have gone back to San Antonio the very next year as well, because aren't they all 1 or 2 year contracts for the coaches? I don't know how that goes.
It's separate. So It depends. I mean, Solo's coming in to be the OC. Ty Peace is promoted to head coach there in Beaumont. So I'm interested to see if Beaumont goes back to Robinson at quarterback, or they stick with Andrew McBride. I think they're going to go with Robinson because, that's Solo's boy. So this is all building, and Ricky and the whole NAL hates to see this coming. This is all building a great foundation for Dallas Apex team. All those Beaumont players are going to go to Dallas. I'm telling you this right now. And they're going to run through the NAL.
So by your estimation, Solomon's going to be the head coach of the Apex?
I do. I really believe that, yeah.
Okay, if that's the case, then why are we concerned whether he's going to Pueblo or not?
Well, we don't know if that's official yet. You see what I'm saying? It's such a gray area.
Let's look at this a different direction.
Yeah.
You said you wanted your coach to evaluate players in the offseason, correct? Mm-hmm. He's evaluating a whole team worth of players right now.
Yes,
for all we know, that's 25 players, or right. Yeah, for all we know, that's 25 players that could be on the Pueblo Punishers next season, assuming he goes back.
I see what you mean.
But I mean, I'm just saying that's one way to look at it. I'm not saying there's any right way to look at it. I mean, it really, at the end of the day, that's all the owner's prerogative, right? Do you want to keep your coach away from other franchises? Most likely, yes, right? But at the same time, I could see in a scenario like Pueblo, where it was a unique scenario, right? I don't think that the initial intention, and God, I hope I don't cross any lines there. I don't think the initial intention was for them to have two head coaches. I think the initial intention was for Tay Brooks to be the head coach, and then when his suspension came down, it made a lot of sense to bring in a guy like Solo who could serve as a co-head coach as well as coordinate the offense when Tay came back.
But this is why, and I'll say this, I'm a huge fan, and I use Vegas as an example because Coach D has, 5 years left on his contract? He got a 4-year extension last year. If you commit to a coach for long, now they're going to come at me for saying committing to a coach for a long time, but we're not even talking about the IFL. So I'm using that as an example. So I know what you're about to do. But no, honestly, though, it's good. It's good to commit to a coach for you believe in him to lead your program long term.
Yeah, 100%. But like I said, different strokes for different folks, and this is a unique situation. So I mean, we'll see. But definitely did not mean to circle back on the NAL. Pick time. So with that being said, here are the games this week. That is a very early kickoff for Oceanside and Beaumont, but again, they're on the Pacific times, or in the Pacific time zone, or no, actually that's Beaumont, so that's Central time zone. So that's a little early, but anyway,
3
what are
p.m.
your guys?
That's not bad.
What's that?
I said Central time zone's 3 p.m. That's not bad. It's weird it's on a Sunday or a Saturday, but yeah. I mean, San Antonio does like 5 p.m. kickoffs.
Fair. And there might be some logic to that as well. Who knows? We'll see what the crowd looks like. But on that note, let's go to let's just run down the line. Krish, you go first, and then Cody, and then TJ.
All right, Oceanside, Beaumont. Give me Beaumont. I said by 20. Albany, Nashville. Albany's coming off a bad loss to Michigan, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll bounce back and be competitive this game. This is a big game for Nashville. Nashville is what a weird situation is going on in Albany. So Albany released Tyrese Chambers, the receiver from Bay Area last year. They released him. He signed with Nashville. He got released from Nashville. Now he's back in Albany. These weird things that go on. I like Nashville to win this game because I think they'll play it like their Super Bowl. I really do. So give me Nashville to win. Kentucky, Washington. Give me Kentucky to win by 10 to 15 points. I love my boy Akil. That's my dog. But Akil is going against a really good DB in Mike Lee. And Mike Lee is one of the best DBs in the country, in my opinion. So it's going to be a test for him. And this is the best defense Washington has faced all year. best D line, and TJ will be excited to know that Kentucky has signed indoor arena football veteran Freddie Booth Lloyd. So Freddie is a big dog in the D line, and he makes that D line room to a whole nother level with Ezekiel Rose. So I'm excited for Kentucky. I think to win this game by 15. Michigan, Minnesota, man, Jarvey Flowers. We got to get to that next because I want everyone's thoughts on that whole situation. That's crazy in itself. But give me Michigan to win this game. I think Malik will throw 5 to 7 touchdowns. He'll continue to extend. Malik's only 11 touchdowns away from 200 career passing touchdowns in arena football. So it's a big game for him. I think he'll get 7. I think Minnesota defense is insane. Minnesota defense is the best in the league. Best defense in the league. And they've proven that time and time again. Watch the tape. Their defense is insane. Give me Michigan to win this game. It'll be close. It'll be give me 40 to 35. Michigan.
When did you go to Minnesota, Krish?
I'm serious. Minnesota defense is the best.
I'm just curious. Because I feel like Jacob must have greased your palms to say something nice. Minnesota.
No, really. I said. I watched the tape. A lot of people.
He bought you lunch, didn't he?
How much breakfast did you get?
Did they pick you up at the hotel?
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right, Cody, what are your picks this week?
All right, going down the line, give me Beaumont at home. Hey, remember that time a month or two ago, we were all talking about if Oceanside would be better than the San Diego Strike Force in terms of fans and a better product, and that didn't work out. No shade on Oceanside, but hey, the tables have turned a little bit. So give me Beaumont, even though Oceanside's only win is against Beaumont, but still, I think they're a better team. Albany versus Nashville. Does Nashville beat Albany, and do they lose a second game? I don't know. Is this? I don't want to say a get right game because this should be a very good matchup. Give me Albany in a little bit of a hey, we have to get right, not necessarily a get right, we're going to blow you out kind of thing, but we don't want to see any more cracks in the pavement with this one. So give me Albany. Kentucky over Washington. Washington lost Oregon, so they're a little punching bag that they can get their 3 or 4 wins on the season. They don't have that. So give me the Barrels with this. And then Michigan and Minnesota is intriguing. When you talk about times, why are they playing this on a Monday at 6 o'clock? That is a weird time to play this game. Well, 6 o'clock Central Time. You know what I mean. I want to go with Minnesota. I like the upset with Michigan, but give me Minnesota. I'm not shocked if Michigan pulls the upset or pulls out the victory, but I like Minnesota just a little bit in this one. It should be a very interesting game.
Completely agree. That actually I think is going to be a really, really good game. Michigan versus Minnesota. TJ, what are your picks, sir?
I'm going to go with Oceanside in a little bit of an upset against the Renegades just because they have beat them in the past. And let's see how the new coaching staff does. I'm going to give them a nod of hope there. Albany and Nashville. I'm going to go with Nashville because, in theory, if you're Nashville, you have to have this. Albany finally lost a game. They're a little down and out, and you're at home. You got to pull off this victory in front of the home crowd. Kentucky and Washington. I think this is going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. Washington's really starting to turn it around, but still give me Kentucky by probably about 2 scores by the final buzzer. And then Michigan at Minnesota. I'm going to give Michigan props. I'm going to say they carry it over again this week, and I'm going to go with Michigan.
Caleb says San Diego's been giving out free tickets, but no hate because he would do the same if people weren't showing up. And as you should. If you're not selling tickets, why not give them away, right? In this week's action, I'm actually going to go with Beaumont at home. I would love to see Nashville win, but I think Albany's probably going to find a way to win that game. Kentucky. No, actually, I'm going to go with Washington at home in that one. Man, that Michigan and Minnesota game could be really tight. Give me Minnesota at home as well. But I expect that Michigan-Minnesota game to be a good one, especially with the way Krish's boy Malik Henry has been playing as of late, currently leading the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. With that, let's go ahead and take our final commercial break.
One question, though. I didn't want to bring this up to you guys just about the Ray Flowers situation. So, Ray, he gets released from Michigan and he goes to Minnesota, for rumor has it more money. I mean, we know Minnesota, they pay skill position players. I mean, I've heard this multiple times from multiple people, $1,500. Really top guys get paid $1,500 a game. So my question to you is, what should Michigan have done? Should they put him? Should they have put him on refuse to report, or should they have just let him go? Did they make a mistake? You see what I'm saying?
He asked for his release, and Michigan ultimately honored it. So I don't think this was a situation. I mean, yeah, you could have placed him on RTR if he didn't want to play, but I mean, was it that intense? Was he just like, I'm done, I'm not playing, or did he ask for a release in a manner?
But realistically, there's Sean Lyota, right? And this is just my opinion too. So and that's why I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Like, is he ever going to come back to Michigan? You know what I mean? So you see what I'm saying? Like, why do I need to have end on good terms with him or any other player, right? Why not? You see what I'm saying?
Because some coaches, I'm not saying this is the whole situation, right? I'm just saying some coaches actually look past this football side of things. And I mean, I was told that in Leota's mind, he thought, hey, if this player doesn't want to be here, and there's a legitimate reason why, who am I to stand in his way? I want guys that want to play on my team. I want guys who want to be here. And if I can't, offer him whatever it is Minnesota can offer him, then what am I doing other than, messing with his livelihood at that point? So I'm not saying that what he did was right in a coaching sense. I mean, in a coaching front office sense, what he did was ass backwards, right? But at the end of the day, these guys aren't making millions, right? So if a guy can change his life substantially by going to another team, maybe you need to entertain that, right? So I'm not saying that this is a situation where it makes a lot of football sense, but it might be one of those situations where it makes a lot of sense off the field. And in that sense, maybe Leota is kind of thinking about the player or the person a little bit more than he's thinking about the player. I'm not saying that, again, that's the right way to approach things. I'm just saying I can kind of understand. But a point that I wanted to get back to real quick is San Diego been giving away free tickets. I would do the same. Then Triple McGee says, grab that concession money. Roger Beck has a great point here. You're assuming they get the concession money. So that's not always a part of the arena leases. It depends on the situation. It varies so much. It's hard to even sit here and break it down. But there's a very likely situation that San Diego may not be getting any of that concession money. So the sole benefit they could be having is the fans showing up at the game and potentially buying merchandise from the team directly. So, but to be fair, I think that was one of the games that may have been rescheduled or affected. So that could be why they're playing it on Monday as well. Trevon Shorts is now in Minnesota. Interesting there. Any other thoughts on the?
And that's another situation too. Trevon Shorts, he left for the International Arena League. They never put him on suspension, so they let him go. They released him, and now he's back with Minnesota. You see what I'm saying?
So they have an open player market compared to most leagues. So that's their decision, man.
Yeah.
But it's not about their decision or not. It's just what the right move is,
But it is about their decision, because if you think about it, like what you're talking about is the team's decision. they have the decision whether to RTR him or release him. So they could have RTR'd all these guys. Like, hey, you don't want to play here? That's tough luck, buddy. You signed a contract, send him home. But at the same time, what do you gain? Then they sit out the rest of the season. They turn around. They come back more motivated than ever to play you next year. So, I mean, I can see both aspects.
I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes you got to forget about what may look good on paper and what's going to give you the ability to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the night and have a sound sleep. I mean, let's just be honest. Are you really going to stand, like Sam mentioned, are you going to stand in somebody's way? You're paying him $500 a game to be a backup. Somebody else is offering $800 to be a starter, and you're going to say no, sit at home? No, that's a D-bag move. You want to do better by the player. That is literally the model of arena and indoor football.
I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Damn! Put your glasses back on.
I think you guys have, a new school mentality. I might just have the old school mentality, but it's fine,
The way that it can be too is players, coaches, owners, front staff, like they all talk. So if there's a coach or anyone like that going like, no, he's got to play out his contract, I don't care, I'm not releasing him, I'm not doing anything. Is that a coach you necessarily want to play for? Is that a coach you necessarily want to hire? And I'm not singling any coach out or using examples, but point being though is, you want to do right by the players. The players want to go where they want to start, where they want to make money. Obviously, whether you're building a super team or a team that's just trying to get by, it all boils down to you want to have the right relationships in place between coaches and players, between coaches and owners and players and everything included. So just because a player says, hey, I want to go make more money over here, can you grant my release? And the coach says, yeah, we can. So like I said, it all boils down to relationships at the end of the day.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll go ahead and hit a quick commercial break. We'll transition over to the IFL and wrap this bad boy up, hopefully right under 3 hours. And on that note, a word from our sponsors.
Three, four times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
I love this. Never burn a bridge, whether it's a bridge across a pond or a raging river. It's a bridge you may need someday. someday. Pirates don't need bridges. That's why they're always at sea. All right, there's my one jab for the show, Cody says. All right, so we're going to transition over to the IFL, and the big topic out of the league this week, of course, is the fact that New Mexico has already made a move at the coaching position. So obviously things have not gone as planned this season. They have a losing record. There have been several games they've been blown out in, and they just have not overall looked very competitive so far this year. However, with that being said, at 1-10, and technically not in last place in their division, despite the fact that Naz has played less games, they haven't decided to make a move. So Kyle Moore Brown has been let go, and I'm blanking the coach's name at the moment, who was hired.
Wayne Coward, something.
Give me just a sec, I'll pull it up. But anyway, are you guys surprised to see the move from New Mexico ultimately letting Kyle Moore Brown go before the season even finishes?
Yes and no. I mean, I knew this was coming after the season. I've heard of, obviously there's culture issues down in New Mexico. I saw it when I was at the IFL Cup, right? That team is dysfunctional. They let Xavier Jackson go earlier in the season. This is the first official member of Mike Davis's coaching tree, right? So the branch has been cut off because Coach Brown has been let go. But, it's hard to see, man. You hate seeing coaches get fired, but sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you need a change. And I don't think Coach Brown was ever ready to lead this team to where they want to get to. So they have a lot of good young pieces. Damon Street, CJ Jefferson, guys who they should retain for next year and they can build with. Even the running back, like James White, right? They should try to bring him back next year. So, it's just this is a situation where they want to bring this guy in. He's local. They don't have to pay him much. Pay him like $500. Shut up and coach my team for the rest of the season type deal. And let me save some money and let's just go into next season. So, yeah.
So I was not aware of this, but an article shared by the Chupacabras team says that the head coach stepped down. So I'm not sure how accurate that is. But Jerome Haywood, and I think the team at one point called him like Hayward or something like that on their Twitter post or something like that. There was two different spellings of his name in the post, which was quite funny. And then the New Mexico Chupacabras went out and said, "Give us a break. It's been a long season," which you can't make this stuff up. That was hilarious. I'm sorry, but that is not up to IFL standards. Like, if you're going to replace your coach, double and triple check your spelling of the coach's name before you post it.
I just feel bad for them because the setup, that arena is nice. It's turf is nice, but it's beautiful. Like, it starts with the top, the GM, like he does what he does on Twitter, goes after people. And then when you pull up his pass, he just blocks you. And then it's like, I don't know what to say anymore with that team. It's just very dumb.
Professionalism starts from the top down, but we'll just say that. Cody, what are your thoughts on the replacement of Kyle Moore Brown?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as Krish. Yes and no, in the fact of like they needed to do something. The fact that you are in the indoor football league and you can't score more than 20 points, that's not necessarily a player thing. It is, but it isn't. The coaches are not putting you in a position to score, to do the offense, to do the defense, whatever it could be. There's something that needed to change. Whether or not he stepped down, whether or not he got fired, whatever the gray area is in between, I guess we'll never know. We have to go by what they kind of say. But sometimes the truth will probably get out there. The turf looks nice. The stadium looks nice. They've got the hot air balloons and everything like that. But to me right now, while that was nice in the first couple of games, it started to look more and more like lipstick on a pig. To me, this is feeling more and more like the Scooby-Doo meme where Fred takes the mask off of the New Mexico Chupacabras and it's just Duke City 2.0. I don't know where they go from here. This is, again, we talked about this kind of in the AAL segment. There is no draft for the IFL. There is no, hey, we'll get them next year kind of thing. If these players don't want to be here next year, they're not going to be here next year. regardless of how good they are, regardless of how much money you want to pay them. There's probably going to be another team that's going to pay them just as much or more, however it could be. They've played some close games. They have looked competitive in some, and in other games, New Mexico has looked like absolute trash. You look at that game against San Antonio, my God, they have not looked good. You look at their games in the IFL Cup, they have not looked good. With the dysfunction, everything, the players leaving, the coaches leaving, there's something from the top down that is not connecting. And I don't care how sassy their social media accounts are, whatever, if it's not working, it's just going to make you look like a fool. And right now, that's what New Mexico is kind of looking like, to the point where they've got a matchup against Northern Arizona. Both teams have one win, and I think Northern Arizona is a clear favorite. We'll get to those picks, obviously, segue to that. But yeah, I don't know. There's something that is not good. It's like a rotting fish in a fridge or something like that in New Mexico. That just something stinks right now.
A rotting fish in the fridge is a crazy analogy to make, but it's hilarious. So I wanted to point something out, and this might be a factor as to why they make the move now. The season starts off. You play the Orlando Pirates in week 1. You lose 41-38, right? Not terrible. Orlando's a very talented team. It was a home game. You know, you're playing pretty well. You ultimately only lose by 3 points. You go into playing Tucson the very next week. You lose by 5 points. You know what? You're still feeling good. You're an expansion team. It's week 2. You're 0-2, but you've lost by a combined 8 points. That's really not that bad, right? Week 3, you get your first victory against Naz. Okay, Naz isn't the most talented team in the world, but you get a victory. Sweet, you're feeling good. Tucson, again, you lose by a touchdown. Okay, we're 1-3, but we've only lost by a combined 15 points. Then you lose to Vegas, and the train goes off the rails. 48-12, 43-32, 61-15, 41-11, 55-45, 48-22, 74-18. Things have only gotten worse since the beginning of the stretch, or the beginning of the season, under the direction of this coaching staff. That's why you made a move at defensive coordinator, because you were having points put up on you like crazy. That's why you made a move at quarterback. That's why you now make a move at head coach. Things are not working out. That's why ultimately we see Kyle Morbaum move on. But TJ, we haven't gotten your thoughts on this situation yet. So with the context I just gave, do you think that New Mexico made the right situation or right choice?
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely, and unfortunately, been trending just the wrong direction. At the end of the day, I mean, are they mathematically eliminated? No, but at 1-9, 1-10, are they really going to make a run? Yes, it is very, very slightly possible. But I mean, essentially, you're starting to prepare for next season. In my opinion, you're starting to just kind of get some groundwork to get a jump. I do feel bad because they have like everyone said, I mean, they have a great setup, everything else. I mean, me being at the IFL Cup, I am 95% sure I did, see the owner. I was standing somewhat close to him, and he was very into the game. He was, you could tell he was not happy with how they were playing against the Pirates that day. And, you can tell he's in it. He's involved in this thing. And I just hope that they are able to turn it around. This year can easily just be first year expansion, woes, if you will, for the new Chupacabra's brand. So hopefully they're able to turn it around. But I really do like this team, and I hope they are able to be more competitive for next year.
Fair point. Fair point. There are some reasons why I would like New Mexico to be good. They are obviously the team that is probably geographically closest to me, at least one of the easier trips in the IFL. So I'd love to see them have some talent and be a quality team for the future, because I would love to make a game down there in New Mexico.
I did want to get your guys' thoughts on the game last night. Any ideas or takeaways from that?
You couldn't wait till I finished my sentence to say that?
Daddy.
Just wondering. It was very important, apparently.
Yeah, very important.
You're crazy.
Hey, man.
All right, so let's get to the game last night. So what thoughts did you have about the game
I still
last
want
night?
to talk New Mexico.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
All right, we're done. All right,
Dude, wait. I mean, it's simple, man. They suck. Like they just got to get new coaches in there, man. And I mean, who would you hire as a coach? I would go get Rob Miller from Vegas.
Does he want it?
I would.
I mean, that's not a shot at New Mexico or anything. It's like you look at some of these teams, and it's like you're either gonna have to overpay for a coach, or you're gonna have to figure out what resources, what anything is going on. There might be a reason why they got Kyle Moore Brown and didn't go get a Rob Keefe or a Tom Manas or anything like that, because you don't know what the resources are. You don't know how much they're paying. I mean, you probably will find out, but that's the point. Does Rod Miller want it? What do you do? Do you go find someone else, an unproven coach? I mean,
I just don't ever understand, and I'll never understand this, why people start teams and try to like save money. Like you don't get into business then. Like I'm saying, like save money and be cost effective, but like go all in at some point too, you know. And don't start a team. Just watch from the sidelines.
Right, but you can't expect them to go all in from day one. I mean, it's a pretty substantial startup cost to get from not having a team to having a team, and then to having a championship team. And I think that's a large jump. That's why we don't see many teams go straight from having a team, not having a team, to launching to winning a championship. Beaumont was the exception, and I think that we can all see that the areas they've cut corners to put that money into.
It depends though. I mean, look at examples in the Indoor Football League with Northern Arizona and Bay Area, worst to first in both of those years. They threw a bunch of money into both of those seasons.
Yeah.
Really good coaching staffs, really good players. Then Rob Keefe was part of that, Les Moss was part of that, and all the players and stuff like that. And then what happened? Bay Area still maintained that level of consistency because they were still throwing money at it. Northern Arizona's kind of fallen by the wayside. You look at the championship that Iowa was able to get, and then they've maintained that consistency of not being the best team, whether it's not they weren't making the money, they don't want to throw resources at it. It's not necessarily going all in, but it's just how can you maintain that level? Are you going to keep paying the players how much money they owe? What goes on behind the scenes? There's just a whole bunch of factors that go into it.
You're not wrong. And I think that's part of the reason why I say it's, in my personal opinion, it can't just be you come out and you immediately just start throwing money at players and try to go win games, because I don't think that's the sustainable model to make a team last. I think you do that year lead up, and I think that's probably why we saw it from Bay Area and NAS, because they need to get the team off the ground and then figure out how they were going to get to the point of being a championship.
I got pushback a couple weeks or a couple months ago or something when I was saying like Albuquerque is a burnt market, and people are like, no, it's not. I'm like, when you look at the history of what Duke City's done, yes, they've won championships, but that's all the way back in the mid to late 2010s. Like we're talking almost a decade or so. Do people remember that? That's a completely different league, practically a completely different team, and everything like that. That's not to discredit it or take it away. What I'm saying is once they got into the IFL, they were a 500 team. They had chances to beat Arizona and advance in the playoffs. I think they beat Iowa one year, or maybe Iowa beat them, whatever. Ever since that, they've just been a very middling to lower of the pack team. And then they come back as New Mexico, and people expect them to be a completely like, we're going to win the championship and stuff. And, to give them credit, like I pegged them at like maybe 4 or 5 wins, and they have completely underwhelmed. They've just not been up to the snuff that me personally and probably some other people were like, hey man, that we're not good. So what can you do?
I agree. And I mean, there's a fine line in indoor football between being competitive and spending too much money. And so that's one of the situations that has been interesting to follow along with the expansion in the IFL, because I think there's been some growing pains for each and every team that's come in.
Right.
You can even say the same thing about Jacksonville, right? Coming out of the NAL.
Yes and no. I put that more on San Antonio than I would Jacksonville. Jacksonville's made the playoffs.
You're not wrong. But I feel like the beginning of last season, if you asked anybody from Jacksonville, they were probably expecting a little bit more from their team at the beginning. Obviously it ended okay, but
right.
But anyway, let's get to the picks. Well, I'm sorry.
No, we have to talk about last night's game. Krish said so.
Last night's game. Dear Lord, you guys are killing me. Vegas at San Diego. Is Vegas broken? Let's just go there. TJ said it earlier. He said Vegas might be broken, after 3 straight losses. So what is going on with Vegas there? Sorry, is it 2 straight losses?
2 straight losses and a miraculous overtime comeback against a 1-9 team. Yes, they are not looking so hot. Man, it's in my opinion, it's the same thing that was happening last year, specifically as the season got later in the year. Yeah, the defenses was last year ranked in the top, what, like 3 or 5. Yeah, they're towards the top this season again, but as the season goes on against powerful offensive units or even subpar, they kind of play down to the level and are now allowing yards and points at to come at them. And offensively, they kind of just seem, I guess, out of sync almost. It looks like. I mean, last night's game, man. Just mistakes or mental or just penalties that they just haven't done a lot of this season. It's starting to creep back in. It's I don't want to say it's a repeat, and I mean obviously if it repeats, hey, that's great. They end up winning it, but it's going to be a lot of close, heart attack style games at that point. But that's my takeaway from it.
Yeah, to your credit, I don't think Vegas is broken. You got to remember last season they were the number 4 seed and won a championship. So I'm not panicking or anything just yet. But you could listen to the broadcast last night, and Curtis Riggs kind of put it on the head. San Diego was playing a lot of man coverage, which Vegas, I guess, has a lot of trouble with. They also shut down Josh Tomas. Like rushing and receiving, Josh Tomas is one of the best players. I have him as a dark horse MVP candidate, the way that he's been able to elevate Vegas with Stoudemire and Randolph. For me, I think and I said this in the recap that I have last night, go check it out, shameless plug. Vegas had multiple opportunities to win. They did, but they've shot themselves in the foot. There are some plays that they either got called back, or there are plays that just their offense looked out of sync. The defense was giving up yards, and a couple of those plays, whether it's a deep shot to Edward Vander for a touchdown, whether it's was it Shane Hooks or Dallas Daniels on one of the moon ball throws. I mean, it's just the defensive secondary is kind of getting gashed, and you saw it with Northern Arizona. You saw it with Tucson, and it's not time to panic, but you're definitely raising your eyebrows going, what is going on with this team? And it's nothing that I don't think Coach Davis and company can't fix, but when you look at it, I think San Diego really wanted this game. San Diego's schedule is very tough after this, and it doesn't get easier. On the other end, it does kind of lighten up a little bit for Vegas. So I think it's not time to panic. I think Vegas has many opportunities to correct it, and then we see what happens in the playoffs, because anything can happen there.
I agree with you, Cody. You know what? You have 4 more opportunities left in the regular season. If I was Coach D, I would try to get to 11 and 12 wins at this point and get healthy for the playoffs. I mean, they got guys who are hurt. Cedric Wilcott, he's on IR. That's a big part of their D-line. Obviously, a CFL experience. They got Terry Roberts back, and you saw the difference he makes with that secondary. I mean, he shuts down the whole side of the field. He came up with an interception last night. San Diego D-line, them only having 3 healthy D-linemen, the amount of pressure they put on Delora, like Adam Anderson, I mean, that's an NFL player playing the IFL. Like, he's playing the IFL for reasons outside of football. But, man, I mean, he's so talented. He had Moses Mallory on his back all day long. So, I think this is a big opportunity for him to go back to Vegas, kind of reset and make changes that he feels are right. There's a couple guys on there that don't need to be on the team anymore. And he'll find out who they are. But it's been a tough couple of weeks for Vegas, like you said, and I just think this is the wake-up call that they needed.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, I do want to give a lot of respect and a lot of credit to San Diego. I've doubted them for years, and they've posted double-digit wins. They've made it to Western Conference championship games. To have a win like this in your back pocket, when it feels like in the last couple of years, I'm not saying they didn't have big wins, but to have a win like this over the defending national champ when in the last couple of seasons, it's just felt like they've won the games they should have, and they've lost the games they should have. When it comes down to that, so to have a win like this to boost them, yes, the schedule gets tougher, but to give some flowers, to give some shine to San Diego, they played a really, really good game. Ernesto Lacayo with 2 field goals and a deuce, that's 8 points. That's the difference. I mean, they won by 4? So being able to have that, Nate Davis looks good. The wide receivers look good. And that the defense, like you said, the defensive line, Krish, only 3 healthy guys. They were able to get after it. Royce C was blitzing like crazy. They made Jaden DeLauro, they made him uncomfortable, man. They made that rushing game look non-existent. And Vegas, and again, not to pick on Krish, that's not what I'm trying to do. But when you look at the games in the IFL Cup, they were spamming Josh Tomas like crazy. They were getting right after it. Run, DeLauro, run. And now 53 yards, I think they had last night. You got to give San Diego credit. They shut down Vegas's offense, at least in the running game. I want to give a lot of mad props and respect to San Diego. They deserve this win.
Absolutely. And one thing I also want to point out too, I mean, DeLauro, man, like his offensive line let him down big time last night. And every single play he kept fighting through. He made so many great plays. I mean, just avoiding pressure, moving around, all this stuff. Like he seriously deserves to be at a higher level. And he proved that again last night. And I think it's good for the league, man. Like to show a team is beatable. No team is unbeatable. So
yeah. And like I said before we started the show, I believe this clinches a spot for San Diego. I could be wrong, but they are 9-2 right now, and San Antonio is 4-7. San Antonio cannot finish any better than 9-7, and San Diego has the head-to-head. If the Indoor Football League or anyone is watching this, please come out with the tiebreakers of what they are, because if it's head-to-head or if it's conference win percentage or whatever the case could be, we got to know now. And I'm going to harp on this until we get some sort of clarification of what's going on, because I think San Diego clinched a playoff spot. Vegas has a chance to do it if San Antonio loses to Tulsa today. And then, like I said, there's a lot of playoff implications. We'll talk about that in the picks and stuff like that. Shameless segue. So,
now you have a good point there. I mean, what is with all these leagues? It seems like an every year occurrence that there are some sort of questions about how playoffs are seeded. I mean, we went through this with the NAL weeks ago, that we were questioning, like, wait, the website says this is how it goes. And then Ricky's on here in the comments saying, no, strength of schedule is in there. And it's like, strength of schedule is not even listed on the website.
Nope.
Like, what are we doing?
Yep.
Just put up there very clearly. We go record, or winning percentage, and then this and this and this, which I would say that the NAL has a good way of displaying it. They just need to make sure it's 100% accurate.
Well, to the IFL's not credit, but with them updating their website from last season to this season, they actually had tiebreakers at one of their pages. It's no longer there because they've got a new website. So I think they had it at one point, but like I said before we started the show, the only thing I can find is from last year. BJ Steffen from Cold Front and all of that stuff up in Green Bay, he has a Reddit post of what the tiebreakers are. So that's what I'm going off of from last year, because there's that whole fiasco of San Diego should have had a home playoff game, but then we're doing head-to-heads, and then there's conference win percentage, but that doesn't count now, and we need clarification. Obviously not just in the IFL, but speaking on the IFL segment here, we need it here so we know what the tiebreakers are a month before the playoffs start. You got to get that out there so fans know.
Man, and I really hope they have that San Diego situation. Good on you for bringing it up. Like, they better have that situation worked out with the arena so that does not happen again.
It's like I mentioned in the preview last night. Again, shameless plug, go watch it if you haven't. You got to remember, San Diego was supposed to host the playoff game against Vegas, and they moved it to Vegas because either they didn't want it there or there was something, because they could have moved it to like a Sunday, and they're like, we're not going to do that.
And what's crazy is San Diego played that Monday night and then turn around and play on Friday.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Way, it's crazy.
It is indeed. But with that being said, we have finally reached, I know, everybody's favorite segment of the show, which is, of course, the betting segment. I know all you guys are degenerates who are watching right now. You're all betting your entire life savings on the IFL games this week. Hopefully not. We do not recommend that. Only bet what you can afford to lose, and that is our disclaimer for the day. With that being said, Krish, Who have you bet on this week?
So a couple good things on the board. Iowa, Indy. I mean, I'm not even going to watch this, to be honest. I can't watch Iowa at all. Like they're so bad to watch, so boring to watch. Just a bad team all around. Give me the under 85.5 for this game, 100%. San Antonio, Tulsa. And then the other reason why I said the under is because they run the ball a lot and they like to drain clock. So San Antonio, Tulsa. Talk about Zach Calzada, man. Oh, my God. He came in last week, 8 total touchdowns, right? 17 for 24, 5 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing. To come off the street after 2 days of practice and perform like that. San Antonio has found their quarterback, and he's going to prove it tonight. Give me San Antonio plus 10.5. Give me the over 75.5. Arizona and Tucson. This is a big game for Coach Kaiser in Tucson. If they could beat Arizona at home, give me Tucson plus 15.5. You know, Tucson was 22.5 point underdogs last week in Vegas, and they won. Yeah, give me Tucson plus 15.5. Easy. New Mexico, Northern Arizona. Northern Arizona minus 5.5 at this point. And then obviously, our look, our ball club, man, we've had a couple of, rough patches here. Obviously losing to Tulsa last week was difficult. We got the best kicker in franchise history and one of the best, if not the best, in the entire league back in Josh. Been talking to him on a daily, really excited to have him back. But we need this win. This is our Super Bowl, honestly. We need this win at home. We don't lose in Orlando. We're 4-0 this year in Orlando. So give me plus 7.5 and give me Orlando on the money line. Because James Cahoon might be out, is what I heard. So
Good point. Good point. We did not mention that earlier, but Krish has noticed that James Cahoon is no longer listed on the roster for the.
He is listed on the roster, but it's a number change, and it's they added another quarterback this week. And I also heard, off the record that he might be injured as well. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought you had said he was not listed before the show. All right, Cody. What have you bet on this week, my friend?
All righty, let's take care of this. We have under 85.5. I'm going right along with Krish with Iowa and Fishers. Iowa's kind of in that same boat as New Mexico, man. They're just not scoring points. Fishers likes to run the ball. I expect this to be kind of one of those, hey, let's just run the clock, score some points, get out of here with the victory kind of thing. If Iowa is able to pull an upset, we'll see how it goes. Now, remember, the last time these two teams played, Iowa was leading Fishers in the fourth quarter, and then they pooped their pants, and Fishers won like 50-something to 30-something. Like, it was a close game until it wasn't. San Antonio and Tulsa, over 75.5, and it is all based on Zach Calzada. Not a lot of film on the guy, just the one game. And then you have to take into the caveat everything that we just discussed. Zach Calzada did all of this against New Mexico. So, grain of salt, man. We know Tulsa can score points. We know that Jermaine Smith and TJ Edwards and the connection that they have. They brought in TJ Davis, the former Green Bay Blizzard and Winnipeg Blue Bomber. If they can put up points, we'll see how it goes. But I do like a back and forth affair with that. It all hinges on what San Antonio is able to do on offense. So I like the over 75.5 when it comes to that. Arizona and Tucson. Like Krish said, big game, plus 15.5 for the Sugar Skulls. The last time these two teams met, completely different teams. Practically, I can't remember if Max Myler was the starting quarterback at this point. You have to wonder what's going on with Arizona too, because enough previews that I have done, Max Myler's still the leading rusher and passer, and he has not started in the last, 4 or 5 games, something along those lines. I'm not saying the offense is broken, but the fact that he is still the leading passer and still the leading rusher up to this point in the season, and he has not really played too often. I don't know what's going on. Tucson obviously gets the big boost with the upset last week. I look for them to cover the spread. I don't know if they're going to win it. The last time these two teams met, Arizona obliterated them. I don't see that happening in this. Give me Tucson to cover. It's plus 15.5. Arizona can win by 2 touchdowns. They still cover. Northern Arizona, New Mexico, -5.5 for Northern Arizona. I don't trust New Mexico. I had them +7.5 last week. They were very close to covering that. They only lost by like 60. So I like Northern Arizona. They're in a better spot right now. They should have beaten Vegas a couple weeks ago. And ultimately, there are some very close games that they've had that they just cannot get over the hump. Give me Northern Arizona as kind of a, hey, payback for you getting your only win against us. We're going to get win number 2 and drop you down into the cellar. And then finally, Jacksonville and Orlando. I've got the over in this one until I heard the James Cahoon news. If Cahoon is not playing in this game, give me the under, because I don't know what's going to go on with Jacksonville's offense. I like Sammy Edwards as a goal line and red zone quarterback. I don't know if he can lead you for an entire game. Now, Anthony Tanza, if you're watching this, don't come at me or get in my DMs. I have not seen enough of Sammy Edwards to make a good judgment. He has. So if he's saying, cool, if he's saying that Sammy Edwards is good to go and he's the guy, cool. But I'm just not sold yet. So give me under 95.5 for that. But if James Cahoon is playing, if he is starting, give me the over, because I think both those offenses can go for it. I do like Jacksonville very slightly in this game. I am not surprised if Orlando pulls the upset, though.
Oh, and of course, Jacksonville has to conveniently activate Marcus Rogers off of CFL exempt, so he'll be back tomorrow. But I agree, man. We haven't been able to get pressure all season long, so we just got to bring the pressure. I believe we have a new defensive play caller, our fifth defensive coordinator of the season, Coach Fuller. So Coach Fuller is stepping in. He called defense last week. I think he might call defense again this week. So.
I'm sorry, what? Toby Johnson was replaced completely now?
No, so Toby's he's a D-line specialist. So I think the idea is maybe to have him focus more on the D-line and kind of bring someone in, to help out. So we brought in Coach Simpson that called the defense. And then last week, I don't think he was there. So we had Coach Fuller calling the defense. So we'll figure out who's calling the defense tomorrow. But whoever is qualified to do it. So
because he's a pirate coach, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, hopefully they have enough experience in the system.
He's qualified because he was hired by Jawad, clearly.
Exactly.
Just kidding. No, honestly, I mean, obviously, you can't make a complaint about James Fuller calling defense. It's not, it's not abnormal by any stretch. Doesn't surprise me. So it's not necessarily a bad call, especially if you feel like you need some defensive improvement. But is Jason Simpson still there though? Like still with the team?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's still with the team.
Okay.
I don't think he was there last week, like at the game for some whatever. But
gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
So maybe he had some personal stuff going on or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. I thought you were saying that they had let go of him. I was like, man, I know there can be some improvements, and I don't think he did that bad. But transitioning over, TJ, what have you bet on this week?
Oh man. Well, I bet on Vegas last night, so obviously that parlay got busted. But for today, I'm going to agree with everyone else. I'm thinking under 85.5, and I'm definitely going with Fishers. I mean, Iowa is unfortunately just more of the same that we've seen in recent seasons. San Antonio, Tulsa. I'm going to go with Tulsa, but I'm going to go money line. Definitely not the points, because you just never know what the gunslingers may do from week to week. Not really sure. I'm gonna say maybe over 75.5. Then Arizona and Tucson. I'm with Cody on that. I don't know if Tucson's necessarily going to win flat out, but 15.5 seems like a lot. They're at home, and last time they just got destroyed, so they're gonna look for a little bit of respect there. So I'll take that, and I'm kind of tempted to take the over, but I think I'm going to go under. My gut's just telling me to go under. So under 84.5. Northern Arizona, New Mexico. I'd love to say New Mexico. I am really rooting for them, but they new coach and the inconsistencies that they already have. You got to go with Northern Arizona. I'll take the points because if it's like normal New Mexico games this season in the second half, it's going to go sideways a little bit, unfortunately for them. And then Jacksonville and Orlando, I'm taking Jacksonville. I don't know if they're going to cover 7.5. I think it's going to go down to the final drive or two of the game, honestly. But I'm going to I think it's going to be just under 95.5. I think it's going to probably be like right around that 85 to 95 or 85 to 90 point rather mark.
Awesome. Did I catch your pick for Jacksonville and Orlando as well?
Oh yeah, Jacksonville money line, no points, and just under 95.5.
Sorry about that. I will be real honest. I kind of flew through my picks last night, so I don't recall exactly who I picked. So we'll just go ahead and pull them up real fast. You might see some bets on some CFL games, as you can tell, as well.
Gambling addict. What?
No.
Oh, limit the amounts, man. Come on, bro.
Only bet what you can afford.
Exactly. Only bet what you can afford. Chris is sitting here giving me crap because I've lost all this money betting on the Pirates recently.
This man doesn't have a vehicle.
I have a vehicle. It's just in Kansas, but that's a whole nother story for another day.
He lost it all.
My amounts are low because I literally, what I will do, I'll tell everybody here, I'm not ashamed because I don't bet a lot of money. I never have. I don't have a ton of money to lose and, stomach that. So I put $20 in at the very beginning of the season and I bet on that until I lose it all. And then if I determine that I want to continue betting for the year, I'll put in another $20. But by the end of the season, I'm either up or I've lost enough money to the point where I can feel okay about that. I don't lose $150, $200 every week when I bet for the Pirates, and they inevitably let me down every week. So when that said, I also, have bills to pay. So they're very important to pay. So that's that. That would be why I don't bet a bunch. I feel it's inevitable or it's important that I at least put my money in to some extent, but I'm not going to overextend myself or do, like I said, lose money that I know I can't afford to lose. So I keep it
cars
pretty,
in Garden City.
Pretty paltry. Yeah, exactly.
His knees are broken. The mob got to him.
Something like that. Yeah, I have borrowed from every loan shark mob person in Colorado. I can assure you, there's probably like all three. But on that note, any other thoughts on the IFL or any other arena football subject that we have not covered yet
today? No, I'm excited for this playoff run, and I think it's going to be good. There's going to be a lot of good games coming up. The best is yet to come in the IFL. Every game matters at this point, so just take it one at a time, and everyone will figure it out. You just got to focus on the task at hand. You can't look too far ahead, and it is what it is. That's what they say, right?
That's fair. Krish, out of curiosity, what do you have bet on each game this week?
My money focused more on the CFL this week. So,
all right. So which is fine. But how much do you bet on a game?
Normally I like to do, if I really believe in it, I'll do like 22, 25.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, well, my amounts are really fucking small. Sorry, excuse my language. My amounts are really small at this point because I've worked through most of my betting. I'm not gonna lie, I've had a pretty bad run of the past 2-3 weeks. I lost a lot of bets, so that's why they're very small now. I kind of just work with what I've got left in my account as I go. But
I get my plug every week.
I go camp.
I get from them, and then I make my own. So.
Look at my boat.
So your plug? In other words, you ask your dad for your allowance? I'm just kidding.
So real quick, there is something I do want to touch on in the indoor football league because I want to do some playoff scenarios and things like that. If Fishers loses to Iowa some way, somehow, then Jacksonville clinches a playoff spot. Or if Jacksonville beats Orlando this weekend, then Jacksonville will clinch a playoff spot. So there's that for another one. Vegas, if San Antonio loses to Tulsa, then Vegas will clinch a playoff spot. And then if San Antonio loses, they get to 8 losses. Arizona beats Tucson, they get to 8 wins. They don't clinch because Arizona and San Antonio will meet later in the season for their head-to-head, but you pretty much make it Arizona pseudo-clinching with that, as they get to win number 8 and San Antonio takes loss number 8. So still a lot to play for. Obviously, Tulsa needs the victory against San Antonio to keep pace with Orlando. Orlando needs the victory against Jacksonville to keep pace with Tulsa and Fishers. Jacksonville up there in the 2 spot. A lot of playoff implications going on. But I believe there are 2 spots that can clinch after these. If the results go their way, there are 2 spots that can clinch this weekend.
Interesting. So it sounds like there's a pretty good chance that Jacksonville clinches tonight or this weekend.
If Jacksonville beats Orlando on Sunday, they will clinch. Or if Fishers loses to Iowa, then Jacksonville will clinch. And then there's a good chance that Vegas can clinch if Tulsa beats San Antonio. Because then San Antonio gets to loss number 8. Vegas has 9 wins. If so facto, they can't drop below that. So there's a good chance that we have 3 playoff spots clinched, or actually 4 playoff spots clinched by the end of the week.
Assuming we have an idea about the playoff scenarios. No.
Exactly. If it's head-to-head and not conference win percentage or whatever. So
true, although most of this at this point is pretty cut and dry as far as the wins and losses, and if they clinched a playoff spot or not. We're not necessarily talking about seeding yet.
Yes.
So there's a lot more to, like you said, play for, and with the top of the league the way it is currently in the IFL, I think the playoff race at the end of the season is going to be very interesting to follow along with.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that, like, if Tulsa loses to San Antonio, it drops them to 6 losses. If Orlando loses to Jacksonville, it drops them to 6 losses. Green Bay's on a bye week, so I don't know what the head-to-heads are and stuff like that, but there could be a possibility, depending on those head-to-heads or whatever, that Green Bay has an opportunity next week to clinch a home playoff spot. So, again, we're wading out of the waters of some really, really, like, big tiebreakers, and like if this team wins and this team wins and this team wins, then it's all these scenarios that are starting to heat up when it comes to the playoff race.
I just want to get in. I just want to get in. Honestly, I know that sounds whatever, but honestly, like once you're in, anything can happen. We were a 4 seed. Us in Arizona, we were 2 4 seeds in 2024. So it just matters about when you get in. And I don't know when the last time the number 1 seed won the IFL.
Iowa.
So yeah, it hasn't been to 2018. It's been a while since.
Yeah, it's been almost a decade since the 1 seed won.
So
that's crazy.
It's just flashing light.
It's better to be the 3 or 4 seed. You're more likely to win a championship as like the 3 or 4 seed. Sometimes the 2. But Vegas won it as a 4 last year, and I think it was a 3 seed for Arizona. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was Bay Area as a 2. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Wow. Well, I mean, hey, like Krish said, anything can happen. I mean, the Beef went from 0-5 to 6-5 and winning a playoff game, and they were the 6th seed. So.
And then what happened, baby? I'm just kidding.
I would say, it's on the coaches, obviously, our performance recently, but, players have to be bought in. And I think once you get guys who are bought in, this for any team, any league, like once you get guys who are bought into what you're doing, anything is possible. So.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and call it a day on this one. We really appreciate everybody who tuned in. I think at one point we had over 50 live viewers, so we always appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch the show, even if you only watch.
We got a big time guest next week too. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, very excited about that. So I will double check with him before we make any announcements about that. But you can keep an eye on all of our social medias if you're curious about who might be joining us. I'll give you a hint. I have a feeling the IFL fans will be very interested in that interview. So when I get a confirmation, I will let you guys know on the social medias, and you will have a good idea who will be on the show next week. But with that being said, we will catch you guys next Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern time, or right about there. Sometimes we start a little bit late, and we'll do an NAL championship review. We'll do another playoff implication discussion so that we have an idea of what's going on with the IFL. We'll also talk about the AAL, TAL, AF1 course. So with all that being said, thank you all for joining us. We'll catch you guys next week.
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.